You're listening to Well, I Laughed. Part 1 of They Were Roommates. Lost in Translation. I did not have the time I wanted with the story of my own fault. But I think the narrative I want to create is there. So that's fine. Okay. And all the photos that I wanted are in the wrong place because I was reorganizing notes.
Do you need another second? I can respond to someone.
No, I think I know when I want to show the pictures. There's truthfully only one picture.
It's light on the front, which is nice.
I don't even know what that means.
Sometimes they're overly sweet. It's almost sour or like a sweet bitter when you get a white. So when it's light on the front.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the kind of wine that they mean when they say it pairs well with cheese. But there's not so much of a...
Because it's not too much forward.
Right. But then there's not an oaky or a caramely... Afterbirth. When you go and you force it back up.
Thank you for saying afterbirth with absolutely, you didn't even notice.
Any fucking
You're yes, there is an afterbirth.
Oh, where's the placenta?
Yeah. I don't know.
Excellent, yeah. From the Grinch.
I'm sure I have Grant quotes.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, gay. Happy Pride Month.
Or in this case, beginning of August for you or something.
Yeah, it's so true. For them, for us, it's the last day or second to last day of Pride Month. And I don't know if we've actually said Happy Pride Month yet.
No, it'll be mid-July, I think, for them, actually.
I'm certainly not overthinking it.
I can't tell. I don't know. I'm so tired.
Good. Yeah. Good. Yeah. That feels good.
Yeah. How was your week, Grant?
God, when did this week start and when did it end?
You've been on one.
Yeah, it's been a time, the gay high holy days that are Pride weekend in your city.
Yes.
Now, granted, in my 20s, I was out of my noggin and did a full week one year.
I remember that. Yeah.
And the full week was fun because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were light, only one event in the evening kind of stuff, like a queer trivia, things like that. And then obviously degenerated from there. Physically broke down the cells of my body. Yeah. No, this year was really good. I think it started on Thursday this year.
Yeah,
and
for a year party.
Yep, and today's Sunday. And so, yeah, it's been a time.
Yeah. As someone who has been part of basically half of the events Grant has been involved in. Yeah, it's been a lot. I don't know how he did it. I took a nap. Grant called me twice, and both times I was like, shut the fuck up. I'm going to see you in an hour. Let me finish this goddamn nap.
I gingerly called you 30 minutes after the first nap because you were an integral part of our transportation plan around that time.
Was I?
Yep. And I quote, Casey can drive us downtown.
No one ever... Casey offered to drive me to your place.
And then I thought us downtown.
Nope.
Mm.
That was never a part of it.
It felt strongly implied
when
I was dropping...
Why didn't you ask Casey?
Well, if you weren't ready to go, I wasn't going to ask Casey.
He's using my husband.
Well, I thought we were using your husband. Yeah.
I used my husband.
This isn't me trying to manifest something that I thought, the event's past now. I was legitimately under the assumption that was part of our ride back.
For you to have assumed
he was going to come over, drop us off, and then that was his token for not going to Pride. Because he's homophobic.
Listener, Casey came with us he came to Grant's pre-Pride parade.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-Pride party.
Pre-Pride party.
Pre-Pride party parade.
Correct.
And then...
Pink Pony Club.
Yeah. PP, PP, TPP.
Morse code at this point.
Yeah. He came to that, and then neither of us went out Friday night, and then Saturday we both did the 5K. We came home. Casey had a game to watch, a soccer game, and then I went out again without Casey.
Right.
So therefore, homophobic.
And while I have so much to share from this weekend, the cattiest truly I've been. Actual catty, not Grant's so witty at a social gathering, not oh, look out, Grant has a gin and tonic in his hand, who knows what he's going to say. Truly the cattiest I was all weekend was at the very, very end when some of our friends forgot we have your location.
Yeah.
We have your location.
They tried to Irish goodbye
They
us.
tried to Irish goodbye us, and they're like, we're just going out for a drink. Like, we'll be right back. We're gonna go to just like that bar in there and get a drink. And then they're not back in like 8 minutes. And I opened up Find My, and it's not laser focus accurate. But you can tell when they're across the street.
Yeah, they're no longer on the premises.
Especially when across the street is very much Euro's drive-through, a place.
Yeah, which we all would go to together normally. And they decided, Grant, Maya, and Danny actually don't need to be here for this. We're going to get Euros without them.
I mean, what are they afraid? That I'm going to be unreasonable because it's Pride Weekend and I'm drunk? Like, of course I am. That doesn't mean I don't want to be uninvited to these things.
Yeah, at least tell us where you're going. Own up to your shit. Be honest, Tyler.
So Hayden. So I texted both of them. And listen, I'm never this aggressive ever, but I texted both of them and I go, you left, didn't you? Not did you leave? You left, didn't you? And radio silent. And then I put, for the record, I also was ready for Euros. And then that...
And then they responded to that.
prompted a under 5 seconds response. Because
they were on their phone at the Euro place.
Correct. Laughing it up.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I was like, Maya, Danny, who's also a real one, we're out of here.
Yeah.
And so we left. We walk across the street. We greet them. And they're like, hey. And we're like, shut the fuck up.
Don't you look at me
And I was like,
that.
I had to make small talk with an engineer that wasn't Maya or Casey or Jacob or you. You know how much I hate that.
Yeah, I ran into some people that I knew.
They're
also.
great, but it was just like not the season that I was in at that point of the evening.
We were exhausted. And I was also kind of like, I don't want to be like, bye forever right now, because I haven't seen you in like several years. But also, I don't know if you're going to remember this conversation tomorrow.
And so then we're in line for Euros, right? Because that's how restaurants work. You order at the counter. And as we're waiting in line, you do start to see them sheepishly kind of lean back from their chairs. And they're like, could you actually get me a fountain drink when you're up there? Could you get us some ranch?
No.
And I'm mad, but like love conquers all, or so I've read.
Yet to experience
the summer of literature. Don't know if it's real or not, but anyways, I of course get Hayden her drink, and then I get Tyler and that whole table. They wanted ranch.
Literally exactly one thing.
Correct. So
tzatziki sauce.
They go, can we get ranch? And I go, sure. And then I look at the person and I go, and let's get 4 containers of ranch, please. And he goes, we don't have ranch.
Tzatziki.
He was like, we only have tzatziki. So I was like, okay, well then let's get 4 of those. And so he gives me 4 of them. I deliver like the drink. I'm like, do you want one of these 4 tzatziki's?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to have one. And then once our table is satiated on tzatziki sauce, they can have what's left. And so Danny doesn't even know what it is. So we only have 2.
Yeah.
So I give him the other 2. And within 10 seconds of me returning to our table, because of course there's not enough room at their table now anymore. No. And in the defense, there wasn't, but whatever.
There literally wasn't.
I overhear Tyler going, well, this is not ranch. And I like half climbed over a table and I was like, it's all they had.
We're at a Euro place. I don't know why you wanted ranch.
Also, and I'm not here to make waves.
Yeah.
Because I didn't pay for either of those lifts to or from.
Yeah.
They weren't free. I think we're even.
They're 50 cents.
My favorite part about our entire weekend at Pride is that I think I am, and maybe you are, still just kind of processing and compartmentalizing, as my friends have taken to say, workshopping our experiences into like digestible stories. But right away, the Euroshop experience was just baked, ready to go.
They wrote it. They wrote it themselves when they disappeared. We thought that they were, because Tyler and Tom said they were going to get food, which is why you and I went back into that area.
Correct, because there were food stalls in
friends. There. Yeah, and then they were gone.
We were at some part of the outdoor platform pavilion, whatever, and they're making, because it's so loud, the sign for food.
Yeah.
And then they kind of do this, and they point behind them to where the food stalls were.
Which is the opposite direction of the Euro place, by the way.
Thank you, co-defendant.
You're welcome.
If they had just done this and pointed forward, I would have known they were meant the shining beacon light on a hill that is Euros.
You can't tell me those 2 granola gays didn't know which way the Euro place was.
I mean, granted, I was shocked they would be trying to eat something at a food stall at this gay bar.
I'm also shocked that they wanted Euros.
I was shocked they stayed that long.
Yes.
One of them claims to be vegetarian.
Claims. Crazy.
So we had a great Pride.
It was pretty funny.
I am going to take this as an opportunity to open up my notes and share the stories least some of the stories that I wanted to share with y'all. Okay, here's the first one.
Okay.
So, Thursday,
Yes.
I'm hosting my pre-Pride party Twink Pony Club at my house. Shout out Maya for the name,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
You're welcome.
A lot of people liked your name, and for the most part,
so funny.
I remember to credit you.
Thank you.
It's gross.
It's literally fine. I don't know how I came up with it.
If I'm going to make a sacrifice, you have to appreciate the
Thank
sacrifice.
you, Grant.
You're welcome.
I think what I did was I
Crazy, I didn't even
Googled
need the
funny
thanks.
names for Pride 5Ks, and then just like from the blue, it just happened to me
Good.
Twink Pony Club. And then I was like, well, I'm going to X out of this tab.
If you were about to tell me ChatGPT came
No.
up with the theme, I was going to cancel all future events.
I think what I saw was another reference to like either Twink or some other like gay coded like name,
Good.
but like in a song title. And then, yeah.
So, party happens. It's great. Of course, because it's Pride weekend, the bars and clubs are going to be bumping even on a Thursday night.
True.
And since me and almost 2/3 of the people at this party are teachers or education related in some way, none of us have to work the next day.
It was crazy at that party. People were either stone cold sober, sobering up, or hammered.
At one point, I participated. I wasn't the originator of this idea. A round of shots in which the chaser was some of the charcuterie salami. And granted, it's called salami. But that's kind of where we had devolved to. And so the next day I'm cleaning up. And you know how after you host a party, there's like an inheritance of
Yes.
like what people left behind?
Yes.
In my 20s, it was beer, which I hated because I don't.
Now?
I don't drink
Yeah.
beer, so I made a lot of like beer bread and beer cheese soup and beer canned chicken after parties because I was like, when else am I going to use this?
Yeah.
Heads up, if you have a citrus-based beer, don't turn it into beer cheese soup.
Ooh,
The citrus
yeah,
does
gross.
not interact well with the cheese and dairy
Yeah,
products.
I can imagine.
Lessons learned with Grant Rainbow. Now that I'm in my 30s, and because I've collected a group of people that I've collected, I have so much wine and sparkling
There it is.
waters
Yep.
left over. It's really nice. I'll just bring this as a gift. And then the thing that people who are sober in our lives now drink like fishes.
Yes.
And so I have still just so much sparkling water.
Yeah, my cousin graduated or like finished her residency, I believe, like a month ago, maybe a little longer. Anyway, she is now officially a doctor, which is exciting. But she had a party to commemorate. It was like a retiring party for someone else and her like last graduation party. And Casey and I brought a bottle of a bottle of champagne, and somehow left with 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
We were like, how did they multiply?
It's a beautiful time of our lives.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that much.
Truly.
It's a really beautiful time in
Yeah.
our lives. I will say, so that party happens on Thursday. Fast forward to Saturday afternoon. Tyler and Tom are over at my house. We're all showering and getting ready from our morning, sweating through our shirts at whatever at the race to now in the afternoon going to be dressed up for, whatever. And I think it's Tom is eating a granola bar like in my kitchen, and it crumbles a little and like it falls on the floor. Like not a huge deal,
No.
but people know how cleanly I usually keep my space. And he goes, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Grant. Where's your?" Where he's like, "I will take care of this." And I go, "Don't even worry about it. I haven't swept or mopped." And I'm halfway through that sentence, and Tom goes, "Oh, good. I haven't mopped my house either for like 6 months." And I finished my sentence, which. From the party on Thursday.
Ooh.
I was like, no.
No.
You think this is maintained by mopping every 6 months?
Which is so funny because Tom, I think, is now the oldest of us.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And always will be. That's how
And
age
always will
works.
be.
But
Well,
yes.
yeah. I couldn't remember. I can't remember who's old.
We're not shuffling around birth dates.
I don't know. Yeah, Casey and I are more on Tom's end of that spectrum, which is why we got a robotic vacuum that does both. So.
And I am on the other end of the spectrum, largely by myself, but that's okay. I love you all anyways.
I have shit going on. I don't know. I don't have time to do that.
What else do I? Oh, here's fun. Recorded a cameo this morning, and my voice cracked like I'm a 14-year-old who just auditioned for choir. Because I spent too much time yesterday talking over the music.
Screaming the lyrics to Natasha Bedingfield's Unwritten.
Yeah,
That's what
well,
it was.
I mean, if that's how I go, that's how I go.
Feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. I'm actually so mad at everyone, though, because you all posted like Snapchat stories and Instagram stories during that song, and I wasn't there.
Okay.
So fucking rude.
Sorry.
Like, literally, I'm the
Were
only
you
one
not there?
in those videos. Yeah, because I was go getting another drink for us.
Hold on. In my defense, I I didn't post anything about that song.
Hayden and Danny both just.
Very good. I did take a video of that song and sent it to someone.
Cute.
Yeah, I know.
Feel the
Rain on your skin.
My new favorite hobby is singing lyrics to like really well-known like 2000s pop songs like that, or like Avril Lavigne stuff, and then just stopping, because Casey has inevitably joined me by this point.
Good.
But he doesn't actually know the words. And so the things that come out of his mouth as the next line are sometimes crazy. And I have to look at him and he's like, well, I don't know the words.
I'm trying to remember who it was, but one song started playing last night, and Tyler leaned in and like kind of grabbed me by my shoulders, and he goes, "This is Beyonce, right?"
Yep.
And I was like, "No, it's Taylor Swift." I was like, how could you be this wrong? And then every time a new song came on,
He was like, it's Beyonce,
right? And we loved that.
Almost never was.
Correct.
The one time it was, he guessed someone else.
Halfway through the one song he guessed right, halfway through it, he turns to me and he goes, "Oh my God, it's the Spice Girls." And I was like, what? Where did that come from? What kind of Slumdog Millionaire flashback to a car ride with your mom did you just have on this dance floor right now? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no.
Also, to have a clip of you at the bar as we sing like "Seal the Rain on Your Skin" and Reba McEntire's "A Single Mom Who Works Two Jobs."
Yeah. Just trying to get beer.
Yeah. So I'm texting this person right now, and we were chatting. I sent him the video, whatever, right? He makes a joke or a reference to Reba McEntire. He doesn't listen to the podcast that much, so he doesn't know that she's a guest on the show.
Yeah. Effectively, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, yes, like I'm a survivor, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, "Did you know Reba McEntire is actually related to the guys that founded McDonald's?" And I said, "Shut up. No way. That's awesome." And he goes, "She's not. See how men lie?" And I'm like, that's so funny. Wait
a goddamn minute.
Well done there. And that's what I get for trusting.
Love one more time. Oh my God.
Yeah, no. So it was a great time. I'm trying to think.
Really good.
They're just kind of coming to me in flashes. Were you? Yeah, you were there when the drag queen climbed up the scaffolding.
There was multiple times, and every time I was like, who let this be okay? Like my little engineer brain was like, did she have to sign like a waiver or something? There was multiple times and multiple drag queens that did it, and every time I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna witness a murder.
Yeah. I'm now of the age, very similarly, where I'm like, this is so cool. I know I'm watching this for the first and last time. Because next year they will be written in their contracts who
they
cannot
can't do
climb
that.
And if you've ever wondered why your contracts are 8 pages, it's because at some point someone
did something stupid. Yeah. That's my favorite
very
game
cool,
to
though.
play. Yeah.
No one got hurt, so it is in the very cool category of things.
I love reading disclaimers, listening to disclaimers, and being like, okay, why do you think that one's there? Who fucked up? Who fucked up and then sued the company? And the company was like, ooh, should probably put that in here.
Yeah.
Casey called being bisexual, being bi-curious.
Yes.
A LaCroix for being gay. And I think about that. I have thought about that a lot.
That's actually, Casey's a lot like Jacob in that way. Sometimes when he comes out with something,
it's like,
it's a real banger.
Well, damn.
And if you're curious about the bi-curious story, curious listeners can catch that curious story on
Patreon.
Nice.
Can't talk about that one.
I will do that kind of stuff in my classroom, and kids will be like, "Wait, how'd you do that, mister?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, say words 3 seconds after I put them in my head so that way I could use the word curious as many times as possible. Speak slow, friends. That's the only thing I'm ever trying to teach.
I don't know
any
how to
of
do
you.
that.
So we're going to talk about it on Patreon. Other things. Pride. I don't know how I afforded it when I was younger. Because I looked at my credit card statement today.
Oh, don't do that.
Well, here's the thing. It was, fortunately, as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because there was a very long runway for it to be considerably worse.
Fair enough.
I'm bankrupt, but that's okay. Also, Griffin called me today, and he was like, "Yeah, the videos you kept like sending me and Tay last night, super fun." And that's when I went through my phone to figure out what videos was he talking about. My brother.
You were texting a lot of people. Sometimes you would show me your phone and I was like, I don't know who sent you that, but that's hilarious.
During Pride, I kind of become the USPS of messages, and it does kind of stress me out a little bit. And then I mute my phone because can I be a bitch in a corner for a second? Can I be a bitch in this corner? We haven't
to be a bitch in this corner for a second.
We haven't done a segment like that in a while.
Yeah.
Welcome to Grant's being a bitch in this corner for a second. I love Pride, and I love celebrating Pride. In the early episodes of this show, I talked about the work I did of being okay with myself and kind of coming to terms with paradoxes around religion and some family values. And for me, I understand Pride as a protest, and absolutely it is. And also it's just this wonderful celebration of self-acceptance and living in a world that I have chosen to build around myself.
Yeah.
To that end, anyone is welcome to join me at Pride. I am, however, not for hire. I am not your personal Pride weekend party planner. I don't want to craft 3.5 days of events and then send out RSVPs, save the dates for every single one of them.
No.
Particularly from people who I do love, but are not then inviting me to their own stuff. They're like, hey, just know everywhere to go, when to do it, how you're going to get there, what you're going to be dressed as. Figure all that out. And then if you could invite me to all of it, I'd love that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I do that with you guys in the sense that you'll be like, Grant, are you free this Friday? And then I'll be like, no, I'm doing this thing at this place. If you guys want to join, whatever, right? It comes out naturally in the group chat. But I have a couple of queer or queer adjacent friends who are like, oh my God, let me tag along next time or whatever. And it's you texted me Saturday at 1 p.m. what the moves are.
I'm not, you can figure your shit out.
Right.
Or remember that it's going to be Pride the week before.
And not to be deeply ungrateful. When I get those messages in the moment, I usually respond with where I am at that moment and how long I think I will be there.
Yeah.
But it's not this is a Google document I can send to you or things like that. I just I feel overly appreciated for how extroverted I am and underappreciated for the social contract you think you're trying to engage in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm going to step out of this corner.
Okay.
I can go on this content for another hour and a half. So.
I have a fun, weird question for you.
Great.
I think I asked it to you earlier, but I don't know if you remember what your answer was, if you even had an answer, because I don't actually remember.
Okay.
If Kirby, the Super Mario character, were to swallow you and spit you back out, what superpower would he get?
At what point in your conversation with Tyler did this question come up?
This came from TikTok. This did not come from Tyler.
Separately, Tyler sent me an exact TikTok of this, but it was a Kirby swallowing a gay person and then coming out just queenified, yassified, right? RuPaul song in the background. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, good.
Yeah, fair enough.
If Kirby were to, Kirby would probably turn into a microphone and never shut up.
What was Casey's answer? Because Casey's answer was at first oh, and then I was like, oh, okay. It was something to do with anxiety, but the ending result was he could swallow more than one and get multiple powers. And I was like, okay, interesting. I still don't know what my answer is.
I think mine would be the ability to throw cheeses. After you swallow meat, you can throw cheeses.
Cheese,
and then also I can be so loud that I kill anyone within a 3 feet radius of me.
Yeah, you do scream and then everyone kind of falls dead.
Absolutely. I think those are kind of right now my 2 superpowers. So how many people have you asked this question to still not have an answer, by the way?
I asked it to you and Tyler.
Oh, okay, good.
And Casey. And you and Tyler were actually the same occasion. And then I don't think actually anyone answered me. Except for Casey. So I don't know.
So this is the second answer you've heard?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what my answer would be. I'll think of something eventually.
Did you get sunburnt from this weekend?
A little bit.
I did too.
A little tan.
I got the fun sunburn that I get every now and then of the red line that's between where my sunglasses were
and where
my hat begins.
Yeah.
It's kind of a beautiful swoosh almost, to the back. But a funny thing too, back of the head, not really sunburnt. It's just this part right here.
I love that because I know exactly when the sun really set and stopped being a threat to Grant because he started giving his hat to other people.
I'm like my own UV index. I swear.
I was like, I've been wearing this hat for a while. It's Grant's. Oh, right. The sun's not around.
Grant's okay. It's reached a point in the sky that he knows he's not going to get. Because earlier in that day, Tyler took it and I was like, nope. This is mine right now. No, I get real hat generous as the evening goes on.
As the UV index goes down.
Remember me that way.
No. If anything, I'm going to remember you as the petty bitch who ordered tzatziki sauce for our entire table. And
Out of love.
And then one for them. For all 6 of them to share.
That's not fair. I gave him 2.
Okay, but that's just because Danny's uncultured.
Well, yes, but also the person who was most appreciative and gracious at that table was, I'm not going to use full names,
I know
but
exactly
new boyfriend.
Yep.
Right. And I don't know if he just like has recognized me as the matriarch of the family and is trying to win good graces.
I think he's also just new enough that he doesn't want to make enemies.
Well, I liked it.
Yeah.
Also, I thought you were going to laugh at the word matriarch there, but that's fine.
Sorry, I support your community. I
Thank
didn't
you.
know that you wanted me to laugh.
My mom had a friend listen to one of the shows a couple
Right.
weeks ago. I think probably around the time we won 2025 Quill's Podcast of the Year. Anyway, so then mom did that thing that moms do, like sent me the screenshot of their conversation or whatever. And her friend was like, oh my God, they're so funny, but also they're like so smart. I feel like I need to write stuff down to like look things up afterwards just to like be able to follow along. And I want you to know for the last month, that comment has echoed in my head anytime we have like hat discourse or anything. Like anytime we are at low tzatziki sauce geopolitics. Like anytime we are at our like most base,
Unhinged.
yes, unfiltered and unpolished self, I'm like, this is a highly intellectual show.
And if you are that friend, thank you.
I'm rewatching The Birdcage because it's Pride Week, and it's a great movie. It's only 90 minutes, so when I say rewatch it, I mean I started it Friday and then fell asleep, and then didn't have time to finish it before I had to go to my next event. But it has this great joke at the beginning where there's this conservative Republican senator who's kind of like the villain of the show. Is watching a clip of himself on like some talk show or whatever, and it's just a bunch of people all yelling at each other, and then he turns off the show and he turns to his wife and he goes, it really is the most intelligent show on television. And there are times where I also feel that way about us.
Last night I think was the perfect night out. I'm actually pretty sure. I ended up coming out a little later than I wanted to because I have a story to do right now, and needed to get some of that research done. But by the time I got out, it was like 8 p.m. and then I was home by like 11:30 midnight.
Yeah.
And I calculated 4 drinks total, but it wasn't like I was sober because I was doing the other toasty things that I do. So I was having a fucking great time, and I woke up with no hangover. All good things.
My day was considerably longer, but also very good. And met my rubric for a fun evening. And because I know there are still a handful of students clinging onto this episode, waiting for more salacious stories, I won't say more. Smartest show on television.
So we talk to teenagers who may or may not be listening.
Kind of like a verbal threat, I like to think. Anyways, this wine has great legs.
Yeah. They're okay.
I have no idea how long we've been recording for.
About half an hour.
Okay. Are you ready to start your story?
Yeah.
All right.
I guess.
Which reminds me, we gotta get back to the Renaissance Festival.
Yes, we should buy tickets soon.
Yes.
Okay.
Put it in the calendar.
Announcements.
Okay.
First, at the beginning of my episode about Emanuela Orlandi, so the one that's called Within These Walls, Part 1, All Roads Lead to Rome, I mentioned that I recognize some of you guys feel like ethical problems when listening to true crime, and to hopefully assuage some of those ethical problems, when I cover true crime episodes, I'm going to make sure that the podcast donates a portion of that month's profits then to an organization somewhat related to the crime. But I hadn't picked one for the Emanuela Orlandi case. I did like some research. Her brother Pietro does not have like a foundation as far as I could tell, or a place to donate to like his legal case. Not that I don't know exactly how involved he is at this point. But I did find the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. The things that I was really looking for were international scale, because this happened, of course, in Italy, and then children, like minors. And so this one felt appropriate. And if any of you know of any reason why we should not be supporting them, feel free to, of course, let us know for any of the organizations that we'll donate to. At some point in the future, I will start posting or like have a spot on our website for all of the organizations that we'll contribute to for the various cases. So anyway, for May, June, probably June, because this episode will now come out in July. For June, we will be donating. I am not actually sure how much yet because I haven't done our budget in like 3 months, as Grant knows, because I haven't paid him. We will be donating to the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And then for today's episode, I'm not going to explain why yet, but we'll be donating to the Frederick Douglass Project for Justice. It's an American-based organization, although this case is not going to happen in America, but it will make sense at the end why this is the organization that we will be contributing to. So there's that. As far as trigger warnings, if it's not already clear, this is a true crime case. This one is going to have a murder. A body will be found. We will describe in kind of vague detail what has happened to said body. But again, it's not going to be like if you listen to the Scott Peterson case, it's not going to be anywhere near that level of detail. It's going to be like a mention of the kinds of injuries sustained, like a kind of description of the crime scene. The real case today is not actually going to be centered around the victim, which is going to make more sense as we get into it. But if that's going to ease any like fears or anything you have about listening to this case, it's going to be mostly legal drama, which I find fascinating. There is going to be like mentions of a couple people in like severe depression, like suicidal ideation, not like deep mentions, but definitely mentions of that. And then mentions of a sexual assault that are associated with the murder that happened.
You told me in text earlier today that a couple weeks ago I had guessed it correctly.
Yeah, it was at the end of the Emanuel Orlandi case.
Okay. Like during the episode, I guessed it correctly?
Yeah, because I
funny.
explained why that case was similar to this case.
Okay, so then I think I've re-guessed it now in my mind, knowing what our theme is.
So there's a photo on my screen.
I'm not able to see it. My eyes aren't that good anymore. Do you want me to acknowledge that I know it as soon as I'm like positive, or like wait for? Is there like a reveal?
No, not really. There's not really a reveal.
Great.
Yeah, the main person that will probably spark your memory is mentioned pretty early on.
Great.
But if you know it ahead of that, go for it.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's hear it.
Okay. Just so you know, also kind of an announcement. I'm going to examine this case in 3 ways. So the first way is going to be the shortest way. We're going to examine it by how Grant probably remembers the case and how you maybe remember this case. This case happened in around 2007, and there's been ongoing legal drama ever since then, up until maybe a few years ago. And we're going to examine it through like the headlines of various news sources, and then we'll kind of go back a little bit and then evaluate it from the case of the people investigating and the prosecutors. And then we will investigate or look at it through the lens of the main person, again, not the victim, but the main person of this, the way that we're going to be telling this story. So I've seen our analytics. I know that there's a decent portion of you who stop listening like as you get to work, and then you don't come back to the episode. And that's, again, totally fine. I just want to say this at the beginning. If you don't listen through at least to the third part, you're not going to get a full understanding of my stance on this case. And so if I get any emails that are like, well, I think that's really problematic that you brought it up, nope. That's the whole fucking point, bitch. Bitch said affectionately, of course.
In a reclaimed way, obviously.
Yes, obviously. This case has been covered a lot over the years. Like, I think almost every true crime podcast has probably covered this. So I wanted to make not a statement in the way that I cover it. I don't want to cover this as just a regular true crime case. I want to cover it as like, there's a point to be made to this case and like a lesson to take away. That's not like, be careful when you talk to authorities, because that's the case of almost every time that we talk about the authorities.
Right.
There's a very specific thing that I got really, really mad about while I was researching this case. There's like 2 things, but one in particular that I want you to glean. So just so you know, it's okay if you don't listen to it. I don't harbor any ill will towards you because that's how I listen to podcasts a lot of the time. But just know that like you're not going to get the full scope. And that's just something that you're going to have to, deal with.
Absolutely.
Or come back and finish it. You can do that too. So anyway, we're going back to November of 2007.
Okay.
Perugia, Italy.
Okay.
Perugia is about 2 hours north of Rome by car, and I think around the same if you go by train. It's also known as University City. There's a couple of university cities in Italy. This is one of them. The others can be Milan or Bologna and Padua. I don't know how you pronounce that. But November 2nd, 2007, 22-year-old or 21-year-old Meredith Kircher from London is found dead in her house on Via della Pergola by one of her three other roommates. Yeah, because there's 4 total. One of her roommates, do you want to guess what this case is?
Amanda Knox.
Yep.
Okay.
One of her 3 roommates is Amanda Knox from the United States. This is now the trigger warning. This is going to be one of the first times that we talk about the scene of the body. So maybe if you don't want to hear about it, skip forward maybe a minute or 2. Meredith's body is found next to her bed under a blood-soaked duvet cover, and her throat is effectively slashed. There is an incredibly deep wound in her throat that is probably the killing wound. Here's a quote from, I think, the lead prosecutor saying, quote, "There was blood everywhere." He then goes on to say later that, like, I'm going to remember that crime scene, like, forever. One of my main sources, my 3 main sources are a Netflix documentary, and then, my main source was the Netflix documentary, and then the other sources we're going to talk about in a second, but that's the, like, primary source. If you want to watch that documentary, I mean, you can, but that's basically this whole story, so there's going to be no shockers. But there's blood everywhere, and they don't really try and hide that in the Netflix documentary. You do see basically the entire crime scene because her body is covered by the duvet. You don't actually see her body. You see, like, her foot sticking out, but there is blood everywhere.
Okay.
And then a very deep wound in her neck. There's signs that it looked like she had been violently held down. Like, it looked like she had fought back, is essentially what they're saying. Outside, the lead prosecutor remembers seeing the roommate who called it in, Amanda Knox. Well, I guess technically her boyfriend at the time called it in. But she is with her boyfriend, 24-year-old Raffaele Solicito. And translated from Italian, he said, quote, "They were comforting each other with an affection inappropriate for the moment." That's kind of all we're going to talk about the prosecutor's perception of this crime. We're going to lay out, like, the very brief details, and then we'll get into what the media said. So Stephanie Kircher, who was Meredith's sister, said, quote, "Nothing can prepare you for the news we received on Friday evening. We feel it's no exaggeration to say that Meredith touched the lives of everyone she met with her infectious personality, smile, and sense of humor. We loved Meredith then, we love her still, and she's still very much a part of our family forever. Early forensic evidence will show that she was likely raped, and there were traces of male DNA in her body. There's also little nicks on her chin from probably the murder weapon that lead prosecutors took to mean that she had been kind of taunted, like someone was maybe sitting on top of her, taunting her with some kind of a knife, because there's more than one. Here's a quote, I believe, from a journalist at the time saying, quote, "That's when the police and the prosecution started saying that it was a group crime, a sex game gone wrong."
Okay.
So here's what I'll ask you, Grant. Do you remember hearing about this case at all, like, as a kid? Or, because you weren't a kid in 2007, you were
Yeah,
high
go
school.
ahead and age shame. No, I'm kidding.
Because you graduated in
2011, yeah.
Right.
So I was a freshman. What I remember is basically American Girl accused of murder in Italy. And then what really broke through, what I remember in 2007, the American media headlines.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause for a second in case we need to cut this.
Yeah.
Is her being found guilty initially. And it was everyone being like, holy shit, they locked up an American. Right. And that's what I remember the news coverage, at least in our local media outlet. Right. Back in 2007, we had things called local news. And that meant you got versions of stories.
Yeah.
Thanks to national conglomerates, we don't have local news anymore. No, I'm kidding. Support your local paper. But that's basically what it was. I remember zero details about the story. So the like sexual aspects, the sexual assault aspects of the case, that was news to me. The marks on her neck and chin, brand new information to me. But that's also, I mean, you know my personality.
Yeah.
I'm not going to investigate that.
Yeah.
But that also
That's
wasn't
a very detailed.
but that also just, I don't remember that being a crucial part of the narrative early on. It was just that an American's been put on trial and then an American's been found guilty. And that was huge.
Yeah. Just as a side note, I think one of the sources that I had was, and that's why we drink, they covered this. Ironically, I figured out, or I recognized I wanted to cover this story when I was covering Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Okay.
Because Em and Christine occasionally will do two-parters, but they both cover stories in the same episode, unlike what we do. And they just happen to align perfectly where Em covered part 1 of Ed and Lorraine Warren, the same episode that Christine covered part 1 of Amanda Knox.
Oh, funny.
And so when they're transitioning from Em to Christine's story, I was like, holy shit! And so they are one of my sources. I think it might have been this episode where I think it was Em, it could have been Christine, that mentioned someone had told them to, when it is a rape, not refer to it as a sexual assault because that actually takes away from the like severity of the situation.
Okay.
And so I'm going to refer to it as a rape. And if that's going to be triggering for you, I apologize. I just don't want to take away from what happened to Meredith. So anyway, we're now going to talk about how the media covered it. So the timeline, just so everyone's clear, as Grant already alluded to, Amanda Knox is arrested and found guilty. So sometime in the evening of November 1st, they think around 8 p.m., Meredith is murdered, and then her body is discovered by Amanda Knox and Raffaele Solicito on November 2nd. The police are then questioning people from November 3rd to November 5th. And then on November 6th, arrests are made of Amanda Knox and Raffaele Solicito and one other person who we'll talk about. So here's just like a timeline from various news sources. This is what I was doing when Grant came in, and he came in and he like kind of turned the corner and I was like, don't come in here.
And I was like,
and Grant was like, Jesus Christ, like what the fuck are you hiding? And what I had was just like the screens of like a security desk where there's all these like news articles, and that's what I had on my screen. She has a double
monitor situation too. I was bringing her a seltzer for the record.
So this is what I was doing. And for that reason, this is likely not fully fleshed out. I was in like the archives of various news sources. And as you know, sometimes they don't load super well. And, so here's what I gathered. November 6th of 2007, The Independent had a headline saying arrests made over student murder in Italy. Here's a couple lines from that article. Detectives hunting for killer of a British exchange student Meredith Kircher have made arrests, police in Italy said today. Detectives had reportedly been looking at whether she met a man at a Halloween party and was murdered after inviting him back to her student lodgings. Some of the last pictures Meredith had posted had been her at a Halloween party. It was like the weekend. It was the
Halloween weekend.
Yeah, right after Halloween. November 13th, the New York Times posted, "Grisly murder case intrigues Italian university city." One of the lines was, quote, "Who is Amanda?" The newspaper Voice of Perugia asked Monday, from brilliant student to cold man-eater. November 15th, the Daily Mail reported, Meredith murderer, blood found at flat of Foxy Knoxy's boyfriend.
Oh.
Foxy Knoxy is, I believe, her MySpace username. And it came from, I think, because she played soccer. And she just has like a very outgoing attitude. And regardless of how you get a nickname, her nickname was Foxy.
Also, Knoxy. Like anyone who was on AOL's AIM in 2004, that's every single person's name. You're like kind of a young adult child situation still. So like Foxy Knoxy is funny and ironic and not like uncomfortable for a 25-year-old woman to have.
Yes.
But kind of funny for like a 16-year-old teenage girl to have. And then it carries with you.
And then it carries with you forever. So yeah. On MySpace, her name was Foxy Knoxy, and one of the primary reporters who we'll talk more about from the Daily Mail, his name is Nick Risa. I'm not sure. His name is Nick. I'm referring to him as Nick. We'll find his last name later on. It's in my notes somewhere. He said, quote, "It was the perfect headline, really. The perfect name." And so these are a couple other headlines that will appear later on. I didn't get the dates for these, but La Femme Fatale, La Dominatrice, Amanda the Man-Eater, and then there's a lot of headlines involving Foxy Knoxy. November 16th, the Mirror reported, Foxy DNA is found on knife. Here's a quote. DNA links murderer suspect Amanda, quote, Foxy Knox, to the blade believed to have killed Meredith Kircher, police said last night. Italian cops claimed they found the DNA of the U.S. student, age 20, and that of Meredith, age 21, on a knife belonging to Knox's boyfriend, Raffaele Solicito. So what they're saying is they found the murder weapon. There's DNA of Amanda and Meredith on it. November 16th, the Daily Mail reported, murdered Meredith, quote, fell out with Foxy Knox over hygiene.
Oh.
November 18th, the Independent reported, Perugia murderer manhunt widens. Quote, police in Perugia are on the trail of a fourth suspect in the murder of student Meredith Kircher. December 3rd, the Daily Mail reported, the wild, raunchy past of Foxy Knoxy. Quote, Amanda Knox, accused of killing Meredith Kircher, has been portrayed as a blameless girl led astray when she moved to Italy. But as this investigation reveals, she already had a dangerous appetite for drink, drugs, and sex.
Sorry.
Yep.
It just feels like an article from 1920, not 2007.
I just have so many thoughts that we'll get to later. December 4th.
Like the headline just feels like young girl leads regular adolescent life is horrific murderer. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. September 17th, the New York Times reports, Italy, indictment hearing opens in killing of British student. October 19th, the Daily Star reports, Amanda Knox led ritual killing. And then there's a quote, flatmate Amanda Knox wielded the knife that cut Meredith Kircher's throat in a grisly Halloween ritual, a court heard yesterday. October 28th.
And they believed that? They believed that a 20-year-old murdered her 21-year-old roommate in her bedroom, her hallway, where?
Bedroom.
Bedroom as part of a Halloween ritual?
Yeah. Yes. October 28th, ABC reported, Amanda Knox faces murder, sex assault trial. Quote, agonizing year-long wait ends with Italian judge's decision in murder case. October 29th, ABC reports, parents confident Knox will be acquitted. November 23rd, The Times reports, new witness links Foxy Knoxy to other suspects. And then I have a couple quotes from this article.
And this is October of the next year?
This is November of the next year, yes.
Okay.
Quote, the unnamed witness, described only as a man in his 40s, told prosecutors that he saw the victim outside her home with her American housemate, Amanda Knox, Knox's Italian boyfriend, Raffaele Solicito, and the Ivory Coast drifter, Rudy Guede. The four were leaving the cottage, which Kircher and Knox shared, and walked through the front gate together. Quote, the testimony is important because it's the only precise indication that the three alleged killers knew each other and were together shortly before the murder, said Francesco Maresca, the lawyer for the Kircher family. Guede and Solicito claim they had never met before the murder. Quote,
What?
Yeah.
Sorry. The entire link that puts the three of them together is an eyewitness that comes out a year later. And by the prosecution's own admittance, the two men involved in this trifecta killer met that night for the first time.
Both defendants are claiming that they've never met each other. Yeah.
Both defendants, as in
Guede
the boyfriend.
and Solicito.
Okay.
And this new third person.
Yeah. Who is from the Ivory Coast, an African nation. So
Yes.
it's like these two people that we've already picked. Now we've found a random person of African origin, black presenting, I'm assuming. And they're like, the three of them did it.
Don't be too staunch in your defense of Rudy.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the third person or the boyfriend?
Third person.
Okay.
Third person. There's another quote from that same article. Prosecutors argued that Kircher's killers wanted to persuade her to take part in a sex game and murdered her when she refused.
What?
They say Knox stabbed Kircher in the throat while Guede strangled her and Solicito held her. And now I'm going to...
So they just fully are making up a cause because they can't prove motive.
Yeah.
And so they're like, here's the motive, and it fits with the Halloween theme and everything that's been said about her already. We're playing on the narrative that's formed around her. This is me reacting just to the information that you have. As I've shared, I don't remember really anything.
And there's
but the
a lot
fact that
more...
this prosecution is going to be able to get a guilty verdict is a sham. I'm not saying, very limited knowledge of the actual case, but what I know so far, this isn't guilty. This actually should maybe be thrown out for like lack of concrete evidence because it's based off hearsay from a witness that came in a year later and a fabricated narrative from a prosecution to attach motive.
Yeah. Fair.
Okay.
December 4th, 2008, The Guardian reports Amanda Knox found guilty of Meredith Kircher murder. Quote, flatmate found guilty after 11-month trial. Raffaele Solicito also convicted of murder. January 19th of 2009, Daily Mail reports, The Foxy Knoxy show, smiling murderer suspect makes grand entrance as trial begins. Quote, she made her entrance like a Hollywood diva, sashaying along the red carpet. Yet Amanda Knox is about to go on trial for a brutal murder. This is for an appeal that is then made.
Okay, I was
after
going to say, they
the
just
guilty
found her
verdict.
guilty. Yeah.
Yep. February 8th, the Daily Star reports, housework friction of Foxy Knoxy. Meredith Kircher clashed with housemate Amanda Knox because she never cleaned the bathroom.
What? Sorry.
April 9th, 2009, the Seattle Times reports, Amanda Knox's court demeanor causes tongues to wag. Again, this is during the appeal after the original verdict. Quote, she grins and chats. On Valentine's Day, she sported a t-shirt that read, all you need is love. And one of the first things she said in court was about a rabbit-shaped sex toy. Former University of Washington student Amanda Knox faces life in prison if convicted of killing Meredith Kircher, a British exchange student. So now we're going to go back a bit. I'm still going to talk about the news media throughout this. But this is when the news was most dense about Meredith Kircher and Amanda Knox and Raffaele Solicito and Rudy Guede. And so now we're going to talk about how the investigators and the lead prosecution team saw the case.
And this is still part 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Just so I know for like, when am I hearing what?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
First, we're going to meet the lead prosecutor. His name is Giuliano Magnini, and he speaks all in Italian, so everything I'm going to read from him has been now translated from Italian. This is our introduction to him. Quote, I have always had a great passion for investigating. I like detective movies a lot. Sherlock Holmes, for example. He was able to get clues from seemingly insignificant events. This is now him talking about the case and how he found the victim, Meredith Kircher. Why was the girl covered with a blanket? A woman who is killed tends to cover the body of female victims. A man would never think to do this.
What? This is from the prosecutor?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
So there's that. What he had found when he first investigated the crime scene is that it was a break-in. I believe there was a broken window inside of Meredith's room. Again, not 100% on that. The bulk of what I focused on is what happens after the murder. But yeah, this is what he says.
Can I just share? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I am struggling with as you like read some of these news headlines to us is like how trivial it makes everything feel. Like I live by myself because I'm tired of cleaning peanut butter off of butter knives that
Super
other
fair.
people have used to make peanut butter toast. Might be why I don't eat peanut butter toast, to be completely honest. But like,
it's pretty good.
It's, I mean, sure, but like, it's so horrific to clean up afterwards, especially if you're not the one that made the mess. But like, moving out is like perhaps an overreaction to that stimulus. But like, that's the arena that we're in.
Right.
So to assume that Meredith, to claim that Meredith died in this horrific and violent way because her and one of her roommates had disagreements about like the bathroom really trivializes her death.
Yeah.
And in kind of in a certain degree, like blames her for it.
Yeah.
If she hadn't been so uppity about, you know, the way the bathroom
bathroom
seat
is.
was,
Yeah.
she'd still be alive.
Yeah.
Instead, she was murdered in a way that was so violent, we needed to provide trigger warnings throughout basically that entire description.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really upsetting me. And then to then portray the person that apparently the news media thinks did it as this like weird, sex craved, witch worshiping, Halloween, like it's just so sad to think about who Meredith was and to think that now the description of the worst thing that could happen to her and her family is being used to sell papers. And it's not
About Foxy Knox.
right. And it's not even good journalism.
Yes.
Like there's a certain
Yes.
degree where you understand that like true crime comes from journalism doing its job of reporting the news in its community. But that's not what this is.
No, it's tabloids. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing is still going to be a quote from Giuliano saying, quote, the thing that struck me the most was the break-in. Nothing had been stolen and there was no evidence that someone had climbed the wall. Side note, we see pictures of the house that they lived in and it looked like an Italian house, like concrete, essentially,
Okay.
at least texture on the outside. So I'm not 100% sure what he was expecting on the side of the house to prove that someone had climbed the wall.
Like a hook and ladder.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. So I'm not sure what that is. But he said, quote, immediately, I could tell it was a staged break-in. It could have no other function than this, to throw off suspicion from someone who could have had a connection to the house. So anyway, the next day they bring Amanda back to the house and they ask her to see if she can recognize if any knives are stolen, because they have identified that the murder weapon is definitely a knife. And so they think it must have come from the kitchen. So they have one of the roommates, Amanda, come in to look at the knife drawer and see if she can tell if any of the knives are missing. And they're asking her, I think, kind of repeatedly, like, what's missing, what's missing, what's missing. And Amanda becomes hysterical. She'll later say that, quote, it hit me all at once. She's being brought back to the scene of the murder.
Right.
We'll talk more about her experience with finding the body and everything. She didn't actually see the murder scene. She knew something was wrong. And then her boyfriend actually is the one that called it in because he was more fluent in Italian than she was. And so it hit me all at once. And here's a quote from Giuliano. Quote, she started hitting the palms of her hands on her ears as if there was a memory of a noise, a sound, a scream. Meredith's scream. Undoubtedly, I started to suspect Amanda. 3 days after the murder, the police wiretap Amanda and Raffaele's phones. I'm going to play this little bit for you. If you're unclear about why Amanda is in Italy, we'll talk more about it later once we get to Amanda's point of view. She is taking a gap year, essentially, but she's studying abroad in Italy, in Perugia.
Okay.
We'll talk about why she's studying in Perugia later, but she's studying abroad. This is the first time she's been away. This is November. She didn't get to Italy until, I think, July. I don't think she moved in with Meredith until September, so she hasn't known Meredith for that long. But yeah, so she still has a lot of contact. She's from Seattle. This is a recording of the wiretap that they get from Amanda talking with one of her friends back home. And again, just so you all know, she's not been in Italy this long. So her boyfriend, Raffaele, is also very new. I think they officially started seeing each other maybe a week ago. So they're just really in this honeymoon phase.
Okay.
Amanda, it's Brett. What are you doing? I'm just about to head home from one of Raphael's friend's place. So is Raphael like your boyfriend? Yeah. He's super hot. I'll send you a picture. Do it now. Do it now. But Amanda, I miss her so much. Yeah, I know. I had a really bad day today. Fuck, man. Like, being in the police station, I'm incredibly nervous, and I always feel like I'm about to burst into crying because I'm just, so upset. But, I feel good now talking to you. So. Honey, don't worry about it. Remember, when that happens, go, wait, I'm in Italy, and I'm with Raphael. And I'm 20, and I'm going to look back on this year as, the best year of my life.
Yeah. So I don't know if Brett, which is the friend she's on the phone with, knows the circumstances of why Amanda is at the police station.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume she doesn't.
Yeah, based off of the way she talks on that phone call.
Yeah, saying this is going to be the best year of your life.
Right.
And obviously after the police wiretap, and this is one of the first things that they get, they're going to take that and run, regardless of the fact that Amanda herself doesn't.
Amanda doesn't even say her boyfriend's hot. She's like, I'll send you a picture.
Yeah.
She
sounds kind of tired.
She says, I'm leaving Raphael's house. I'll send you a picture. Being in the police station is traumatic.
Yeah,
or the three
horrible.
things she says on that entire phone call.
Yeah.
And they're like, she doesn't even feel bad.
Yeah. It's going to be the best year of her life.
She planned it.
Yes. Yeah. So that's obviously not great. November 5th. Remember, they make arrests November 6th. November 5th, they call Raffaele into the police station. Notably, they don't call Amanda, but she comes with him anyway. They take this as controlling. She takes this as, I think, this is my
speak Italian
comfort person
Sure.
right now. I think. So Raffaele, he's interviewed in the docuseries, by the way. Super cute, by the way. Back in 2007, you can look up pictures. He gives more like James Potter vibes in Harry Potter. He has the thin, wiry glasses and really nerdy looking. But today it's okay, you grew into yourself a little
Okay.
bit.
Oh.
But so he remembers the police are starting to get aggressive.
I'm assuming Raffaele's going to be found not guilty as well.
In the end, they're tried together.
Okay. I was like, if you're thirst trapping after a man currently in prison.
No. Okay. So earlier when we were in our little catch-up session at the beginning, you said something like, my co-defendant, and referred to me, and I was like, oh,
Right.
God.
Did not mean to.
Because Raffaele and Amanda continue to stay co-defendants throughout I think, the duration. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Raffaele remembers the police are starting to get aggressive and rude in their lines of questioning. For some reason, they refuse to believe his story. And their story is that Amanda and him spent the night together at his place that entire night. So that was their alibi. They were together. And it seems to him that every time he gives an answer, they say like, no, and then kind of ask him the question again. And so he says, quote, the policeman told me that Amanda lied all the time, that she was a stupid slut and a cow that didn't care about me. And then, quote, after a long time, the reality around you turns to twist and don't be so clear. He's speaking in pretty broken English at this point, but he speaks English relatively well. So if I'm ever quoting Raffaele and it doesn't quite make sense, that's why. Giuliano, the lead prosecutor, sees this as Raffaele changing his story. What's actually happened is Raffaele's been in interrogation for more, like, way too many fucking hours. I couldn't find a distinct tell about how many hours. I think it was like, there was one source that was like 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., but I think that might have been Amanda, so his was probably before that. But it's a long fucking time to be constantly told that you're wrong. You know, if you've ever been in an argument with like anyone and it goes on for too long, you kind of both start to forget why you're in that argument, and the circumstances of the argument start to shift kind of around you, right? And I think that's what's happening for both of them. And so Giuliano sees this as Raffaele changing his stories. According to Giuliano, Raffaele says that he had been lying under the direction of Amanda, and that while he had been home that night, Amanda did not join him until 1 a.m. Raffaele then signs a statement saying this, confirming this, signing his confession, essentially. So he signs the confession. They, the interrogators, the prosecutors, the detectives, whatever you want to call them, go outside then to tell Amanda, because she's there, that her boyfriend had now turned on her. And so they bring her in for questioning. They also get their hands on Amanda's cell phone. At this point, Amanda's more like, yes, take my cell phone. You can see why I was home. Like, you can see all the text evidence. What had happened was she claims she had spent the night with Raffaele the night before. They had gone out, they had come home, they had watched a movie, smoked pot, like had sex. But at some point in the night, she had gotten a text from her boss, Patrick Lumumba, who owned a bar nearby. She had gotten a text from Patrick that she did not need to come in for work that night. And her response essentially was like, great, like, have a great night, see you later. And what she had actually said was, certo, si vediamo più tardi. Sorry, I'm not good at Italian. Buona serta. So word for word, that translates to, we will see each other later, have a good night. Obviously, she knows Italian, but is not fully fluent in it to know the slang and everything. The important thing to note is that when we in America say, see you later, it means more like, hey, I'll probably see you later, you know? In Italy, there is not that colloquialism. So they take it as, hey, I will see you at the appointment we have predetermined later. And so they take that as, oh shit, Patrick Lumumba's in on this. So he gets arrested with them.
This is the bar owner?
The bar owner. Yeah. So this also seems to be when the interrogation kind of really turns aggressive towards her when they see this text. They accuse her of making an appointment with her boss, Patrick Lumumba, and now not remembering it, quote unquote, or lying to them about not remembering it. Yeah. And so she starts getting frazzled because, again, there's like this issue with translation here. And she says, like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. And one of the interrogators or detectives or whatever takes this as her cursing at him because he also doesn't understand English. He hears the word fuck and he says, fuck, I understand fuck you to her. And another police officer at some point, according to Amanda, again, slaps her upside the head and tells her to remember, and then does it again and tells her to remember. And then she says, quote, and then I broke. What started popping in my mind was the street in front of Raffaele's apartment, my door being open, Patrick in his brown leather jacket, and Meredith screaming. And I thought that meant I was remembering that he had killed her, that Patrick had killed her. And so I signed a confession saying that he had killed her. So on November 6th, 3 people are arrested. Amanda Knox, her 24-year-old Italian boyfriend, Raffaele Solicito, and 44-year-old Dia Lumumba. He's also known as Patrick, who's what I'm going to refer to him by. The New York Times said, quote, "The 3 suspects seemed not to fit the bill. There is Miss Knox, who does not conform to any standard profile for a murderer, 20 years old, well off and pretty. A linguistics major from Seattle who, judging from self-posted internet images, she probably regrets, could be accused of little more than occasional rowdiness." There's a man at the press conference who is announcing the arrests, and he says all this in Italian, and this is all obviously translated. He said, quote, "We feel very sad for the girl that died, and yet there is also great satisfaction for the Perugian police who have found the answers in such a short amount of time. The press put pressure on us, and as a result, we felt the responsibility for a city that wanted a definitive answer right away." And then here's someone commenting on this press conference saying, quote, "Casa Chuso, case closed. You'd have thought they busted some sort of mafioso godfather the way that they were acting. That they thought it was like this huge deal, like, oh, pat us on the back, we found the murderer right away, like
Right.
first suspect." So we're now going to talk again about some of the headlines at the time. Here's a quote from, his name is Nick Pisa. He is one of the journalists from the Daily Mail. He is known now for being one of the lead journalists of this case. Quote, the whole place was just awash with journalists. So any nugget, any scrap, anything new, you were just trying to get out ahead of your competitor." And then he says, quote, "To see your name on the front page with a great story that everyone's talking about is just a fantastic buzz. I mean, I'd like to say it's like having sex or something like that, you know?" So he is the journalist that broke the headline about the fact that this was a case of a sex game gone wrong.
Right. And where did he get that information from?
I believe from when they found the like nicks and they decided that this must have been some kind of sex game.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of the headlines that followed: killer orgy, Meredith killed for, quote, refusing sex, Meredith sex killing. Like, again, not all of these were Daily Mail, but he originated a lot of that story.
Right.
Following the arrest, a lot of transcripts and confessions were being released to the press. And a lot of these are like conversations with maybe some of Meredith's friends about Amanda, or like their interactions with Amanda, or whatever. A friend of, I believe, Meredith, I think they might have been in some kind of waiting room, whether at the police station or waiting for an autopsy report or whatever, says something along the lines of like, "Wow, I hope Meredith didn't suffer." And Amanda said, "Of course she fucking suffered. She had her throat fucking cut." Which, like, yeah, but also if you're mourning a friend and you don't know this person that well, that kind of brashness maybe doesn't sit super well.
Sure.
You know?
Yes. And also, like, you're having anger over your sense of peace and solitude being destroyed, and also, like, factually not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in another, a detective recounts Amanda and Raffaele kissing outside of the crime scene, which, again, the lead prosecutor, Giuliano, that's one of the first things that he remembers about the scene. I don't even know if he had gone into the scene yet. He sees Amanda and Raffaele outside kissing. And so they say, they also reported that Amanda was doing cartwheels and stretching exercises outside, which they also thought was inappropriate. I don't know if that statement is even based in reality at all.
Okay.
But this is the photo that gets then released to the press of them kissing outside. It's obviously a still photo.
This is on the day of where the police are being called in.
This is shortly after they report the body being found.
It's intimate, but not like intense, right? Yeah. Like, it is. Again, it's one photo. It looks like a peck, like on the lips between two people.
Like,
but
there's no tongue down throats.
No.
Yeah. Like,
hands are on like front of chest, not like they're wrapped up in each other. But I'm now also clearly slanted in my own perception of this case.
Yeah, and that's fair. I did my best to unbias it, but it's also really hard to not.
Yeah, well, when the unbiased version are some of these headlines,
it's just absolute bullshit. So anyway, so now Amanda's in prison awaiting trial, right? They bring in her mother, Etta. There's like recorded conversations. Obviously, everything now is going to be recorded, all the conversations she has.
Right.
And Amanda's like talking to her mom about how she doesn't understand why Raffaele like turned on her in prison. But she's really quick to acknowledge like he was probably under the same amount of pressure that I was.
Right.
And so I can't really necessarily blame him for that.
Right.
This, however, is where she finds out that this case has gone global in its news coverage. She has no idea that this case has made it outside of Perugia, essentially. Okay. And she finds out from her mother that everyone in her family has been now harassed by the media.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There's also footage of them that has been found and then also leaked to the media where Amanda and Raffaele are at a local store buying underwear for Amanda. And the clerk remembers the couple laughing about the hot sex that they would have later that night. And this video was taken, I believe, a day after Meredith had been found murdered.
Okay.
So that obviously also is not going to sit well with the general public.
No, not great.
No. On November 20th, Patrick Lumumba has his alibi. What's the word?
Verified?
Verified? That's not the quite right word. But anyway, his alibi is like backed up by whoever was there, and he is released. He is going to eventually sue Amanda for slander or something. And we'll talk about that more way later on. But
because she texted him.
No,
Thanks for letting
because
me know.
she accused him of being involved in the signed
Okay.
confession. Giuliano. So now that he has been released on his alibi, Giuliano says, quote, "Why did she falsely accuse him?" And then he's like obviously talking to the doc crew like behind the camera saying, "Can you give me an answer? I think it's a little bit hard, huh? The only reason would be to divert the investigation away from her." And so he goes to ask Amanda why she falsely accused Patrick. And her response, as was recorded, she said, "Why? I was stressed. I was scared. It was after long hours. It was in the middle of the night. I was innocent and they were telling me that I was guilty." And then Giuliano, who is also on the recording, says, quote, "For the record, she's crying." She's going to remember that later. She's going to remember later that he kept asking her the same question over and over again. And every time she would respond, he would say no and ask her again. She remembers realizing that the answers she was giving are not what he wanted her answers to be. And she realized that the police are never going to listen to her again. And Giuliano says, quote, "This is Amanda's weakness. She can't stand being questioned. And she also has an attitude. Hostility and rebellion towards authority. It's a little bit anarchist. I don't know if there is such an attitude in Seattle. This I don't know. It's possible to speculate, of course, but instead, I choose to stick to the facts." In the prison, Amanda has to undergo a medical examination, blood tests, etc. And in these blood tests, they find Amanda is HIV positive and is on her way to developing AIDS.
Amanda Knox is? Mm-hmm. Oh, I had no idea.
So she begins writing in her journal because she's devastated.
She finds out from these blood tests?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so she's writing about how she's always wanted a family and how that's not going to be a possibility for her anymore. She's also making a list of all the people that she has had sexual interactions with. I believe there's 7 people, including, I think, Raffaele. And then she's kind of listing like, well, it couldn't be this person because I remember I used protection with them, but maybe it could be this person because I didn't. And then if it's this person, these are all the people I need to now tell, like once I get out, because she has no communication with the outside world. And so this journal is leaked to the press.
Okay. Like her personal journal.
Her personal journal where she's talking about all of the sexual interaction she's had, her devastation at like having, I don't know if they specifically reveal the fact that like her realization of her HIV AIDS, but they definitely release her conversation with herself essentially about all the people that she has had
sex with.
Yeah. And then for the investigation, because it's continuing pre-trial, there's a knife matching the description of what could have been used on Meredith Kircher at Raffaele's house. This goes into DNA testing. There's also a bra. Meredith's bra is found at the crime scene, and it's like pretty clearly been like violently kind of ripped off of her to the point where the bra clasp the section of the bra that has the bra clasp on it was torn off. So they had originally found the bra, and then they later would find the bra clasp like under some kind of rug. And so both of these pieces go in for DNA testing. They find on the knife, they find Amanda Knox's DNA on the handle and Meredith Kircher's DNA on the blade. Not good. Then on the bra clasp, they find Raffaele Solicito's DNA on the bra clasp. And so they're like, got him.
Yeah. That's far more conclusive evidence than what they've said so far. Like, that's far more compelling.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And so that's when we get the headlines, Foxy DNA found on knife, and Foxy Knoxy took part in sex attack. And Amanda will later say, like, I can't explain the DNA on the knife. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, I don't know if she directly addresses Raffaele's DNA on the bra clasp or not, but I think in general she was like, I have no way to even possibly explain
When they
that.
say DNA, what DNA are they talking about? Is it blood? Is it spit? Is it a fingerprint? Is it hair?
It's just DNA traces. So, like, it could be a skin flake. It's not blood or anything. It's not like like there's seminal DNA that's found in her body. It's not like that. It's not blood. It's most likely skin cells.
But, like, in theory, clothes that are washed in the same load as her roommates could carry that evidence.
They were only roommates for maybe like a month or so. So, you know, I don't know. Giuliano will say the knife was found after a search ordered by me, and he kind of points to himself.
So he's staked his career on this case.
I literally fucking hate this guy. I'm sorry. I like can't with him. He's so satisfied. So he didn't actually find the knife. He didn't do the DNA testing. So the only thing he can now say is like, it was found
He called the shots
after I ordered a search on Raphael's house.
Right.
And this is now maybe like more than a month after the murder has happened. And after the DNA is then found on the bra clasp, Giuliano says, quote, "This is a very significant fact. I remember my colleagues complimenting me and saying, quote, at this point, there's no hope for the two of them." So now we're about 3 weeks after the arrests, I believe. Police tell Giuliano that they have now found like solid evidence that Meredith had been murdered by 3 people. I believe this is from forensic analysis of like fingerprints, maybe DNA evidence that they had like unidentified strands or whatever. So this is now where we get the headlines that like police on the hunt for like 4th suspect or additional killer or whatever. There's evidence inside of Meredith, so seminal DNA from the rape. And then there are also fingerprints and other traces of DNA around Meredith's room. And then there's some other pieces of evidence that we'll talk about in a bit once we get to Amanda's POV. All of these DNA pieces, the police are certain, are from a man named Rudy Herman Guede, who we've heard the name of in the media headlines. And so the police find one of Rudy's friends, and they have him get on Skype with Rudy. Trigger warning, there's going to be a brief mention of suicidal ideation. So in that call, again in Italian, so this is translated, Rudy tells his friend, quote, "The girl who's been killed, I met her the previous evening. The next day I went to her house, but we didn't do anything because neither of us had a condom. And so I went to the bathroom. After that, I heard screaming and I quickly came out of the bathroom.
What?
I saw this guy. I didn't see his face because it was dark. Then he ran out the front door. I saw Meredith, who was bleeding. She had a cut on her throat. She was clinging to me strongly. I got scared. I was completely covered with blood. Fuck, I'm scared. I'll kill myself." And then in the Skype chat, I'm not sure if this is like before or after the actual Skype call happened, he says, quote, again in Italian translated, but quote, "Amanda has nothing to do with this. She wasn't there."
So he says on a call with his friend that presumably the police are on, "I was there the night of the attack. I saw her right after the attack happened. I, me, there, comma, Amanda Knox not there."
Not there. Had nothing to do with this.
I mean, that's a much better eyewitness testimony than a year later being
Literally
like,
anything
"I
else.
saw them maybe all 3 together sharing a cigarette and sharpening knives outside of the house." Okay.
So the only problem now is that Rudy's had, 3 weeks? So he's escaped. He is no longer in Italy.
Oh.
And so there's an international arrest warrant. There's like solid enough data. There's solid DNA evidence from multiple different locations.
This is the man from the Ivory Coast?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's arrested and brought in. And Amanda, when she's in prison,
Where is he arrested at? Do you
I'm
know?
not sure
Okay.
where he was. No, I think he was still in Europe.
Okay.
But definitely not Italy. Amanda in prison, when she finds out about Rudy's arrest, she doesn't even know his name. She says, oh my God, just the idea of knowing who could have done it. Like, I know him, kind of. I've seen him before with the neighbors. Like, we ran into him and we were talking to him or whatever. And then I think I saw him playing basketball with them once. And then I think I saw him at my work, but like, I don't even know his name.
And her work is a bar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think he lived in the area.
Yeah, he's
is
a local.
essentially what she's saying. So at least to me, in this scenario, it's clear that like it's fucking Rudy. Like we have
Right.
semen DNA, we have regular DNA, we have a different piece of DNA that we'll talk about in a second. But it's clear to me, at least, that the cops are playing fucking mind games.
Right.
And
We have
bullshit.
enough of a confession from Rudy to put him in the room at the time of the attack.
Yes.
Even if it was someone else. Like
By his own
Rudy
fucking
is
word.
now the angle to proceed.
Exactly.
For him.
But they refuse to remove Amanda from consideration. And so because she's still fucking in prison, to me it's very obvious that they're just determined to get this girl because they
Right.
don't want to tell the media now that they were wrong initially. And this is even more proved by the fact that, remember when they told her she had HIV/AIDS?
Yeah.
It was a lie.
What?
It was a goddamn fucking lie.
Okay, sorry. I want to know more about this, but
Yes.
also I was like, wow, that's statistically like so uncommon that a girl
Yes.
with like
Yes.
her level of education, her
And
status,
heterosexual-
status. I mean, the fact that it sounds like maybe her sexual partners were still in single digits. I'm like, what a snake eyes roll of the dice. Like, I mean, obviously infection could happen to anyone. Doesn't mean if you're a quote good person or a quote bad
Yeah.
person. It's just, you know, that's just what happens in our world. But I was like just statistically really taken aback by
Yes.
that. The authorities told her she had HIV on its
AIDS.
way to developing into AIDS. And why?
Play fucking mind games with
Why
her.
would you do that?
Like, theoretically to then, like, in my head, I don't think they were this well thought out, is to get her to now write about all of her sexual partners, leak that to the press, and then continue on the narrative that she's a sexual deviant, much
Or
like
like-
Grant. You'll have to get on Patreon to understand
Yeah,
that
that's
joke,
a
sorry.
shout out from something else. Hilarious, though. I'm not, for the record, for
No,
the
no,
general
no, 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 no.
population.
He's just gay.
Medically speaking, of course. Always medically speaking. But also, like, is it like an angle of like a deathbed confession? Because like
I think so, maybe.
the
yeah.
reality of HIV/AIDS today is
Yeah.
very different than it was in the 80s and 90s when it was like most recently popularized.
Yeah.
Not popularized, but like
Like,
emerged into the
common,
yeah.
Yeah, so, like, just fucking, like, that, of all of their crimes that I think they committed against, like, the Kircher family, the
Right, Meredith's
Amanda,
family, right.
and Raffaele, and, like, the general public who deserves the truth when it comes to violent crimes like this, like, this, I think, is the most heinous of them, in my personal opinion. I'm obviously not Amanda or Raffaele, but to me, this is like, how fucking dare you?
Right.
And so Nick Pisa is one of the first ones to get his hands on the journal entry that
This is the Daily Mail in
the
London.
Daily Mail guy,
Okay.
yeah. The documentarian asks how he got it initially. And Nick responds that you never reveal your sources, quote, because you do that and you're just betraying all your journalistic principles, aren't you? Sir, you work for a tabloid.
Yes.
Also, earlier on, remember how Giuliano was like, I just really admire Sherlock Holmes because he finds evidence out of seemingly unrelevant like pieces of information.
Right.
Nick says that he admires the likes of Bernstein and Woodward, you know, of Watergate.
Who we know actually now a lot more about.
Yes, so
Thanks to a couple
go
episodes
listen to
ago.
episode Water Under the Gate because these guys, those journalists, were the fucking real goddamn deal. And so this information gets leaked to the press and we get headlines like Foxy Knoxy writes diary from her cell and secret diary of Foxy Knoxy. All of this information about her talking about her sexual partners because she's stressed out as fuck because she thinks she might die from this now like sexually transmitted disease and is trying desperately to figure out what she can do like when she
Right.
can do it.
And how she doesn't have symptoms.
Yes.
And what it means about like the rest of her
Life like having kids and like
Exceptionally cruel.
so cruel. And so these like one of the things that she writes that then gets published is, I don't want to die. I want my life.
Right.
And
she's 20.
Yeah, the tabloids are calling her perverted and infected, and they're accusing her of having so many lovers that now she's developed this sexually transmitted disease. And so this is where I really broke in my thing, is that like this story is fucking infuriating. And obviously you know whose side I'm on at this point. If you do like a brief Google, you'll know.
Are we still LOL in part 1?
I don't even know where the parts
cool.
end. You said part 1 and I was like, sure, I guess.
As a person who regularly ignores the parts he puts in his notes, I see you.
Yeah, I know
Seen,
you
felt,
too.
understood.
I've edited enough of your goddamn episodes.
Starts off well.
Yeah, really does. And then it really devolves. You'll say something and I'll be like, oh, cool, he's right there. And then you'll say something up here in your notes and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Well, it always ends up being kind of like a conversation that you and I have.
And it's good.
And you're a good question asker.
Aw.
You're welcome.
Thanks. So this is what I wrote. Sorry, this is going to be, I don't know, stream of consciousness. The story is infuriating between Nick Pisa and Giuliano. And then I wrote, I don't even know. I don't even care about his last name. It starts with an M or some shit. It's Magnini. We have two men who have this great love for their careers because Giuliano loved Sherlock and Nick loved Bernstein and Woodward, and absolutely fuck all when it comes to integrity. At one point, Giuliano is taking an interview outside of the courthouse or whatever, and he has a pipe like Sherlock Holmes, like grow the fuck up. And then here's a quote from Nick. This is directly in reference to him breaking the diary to the press, and then him also... He didn't know that the HIV/AIDS thing was a lie presented to Amanda, but I think it was still broken to him, and he then broke it to the media. I'm not 100% about that. But anyway, now that we all know that the HIV thing was a lie,
right?
He said, quote, at the time, people were saying, oh, how could you do that? How could you cover such a story? And how could you be involved? And yet at the same time, these are the same people who are like, and then he mimes like typing on a keyboard, logging onto the internet first thing in the morning, trying to find out the latest details, you know? And then this is what I said. I'm just going to read this. I mean this with the utmost sincerity. Fuck you. How dare you say that shit with a smile on your face as if you're better than them? Because as of this doc, and still I checked, you are nothing like Woodward and Bernstein, and I hope your career never makes it past the tabloids. I hope this is now me. I hope this career never gives you any good piece of journalism that can then break your career. I hope you die in the fucking shadows. I mean this with fuck you, Nick Pisa. Fuck you.
And if I can just put a little bit into Bernstein and Woodward started off their whole career with being in a criminal court and being like, I know how our system miscarriages justice, and these people should be getting ran over by our court system, and they're not. So what's going on there? They were like aware of the inequalities in the system and were questioning when it didn't hew to like some grander common theme that we see, not let me fabricate the sex life of a 20-year-old.
Let me take this piece of maybe true evidence someone has now told me and run with it as fast as I possibly can to get the lead out before anybody else. And God forbid I do an ounce of fact checking or background on any of my sources, because why does that matter? Because if I don't get it out ahead of my competitors, I won't get the lead. I won't get the front page article that now gives me the feeling of sex because I'm fucking weird as shit, bro. Like, chill, dude. It's not that deep. Also, why would you not want to do your background research and then get the lead that your competitor is fucking wrong?
Right.
That's a bigger fucking lead than breaking the fucking lie that you're now like releasing to the public. You're what's fucking wrong with journalism. I hope you're fucking watching, because I know you have nothing else to do, because I looked at what you're doing. And I think it's still the fucking Daily Mail. I think you got hired by the Sun, and I think you then got fired by the Sun. Fuck you. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, now we're to the trials.
I love that. I love that, and I love this.
He makes me so mad. And this is just a really quick side note. I love And That's Why We Drink. I've been listening to them since 2018. I love them. I love Christine. I have a lot of respect for the way Christine tells true crime stories. After I know that she watched the same documentary that I watched, because she had a lot of the same reactions to Giuliano that I did.
Okay.
And Em and Christine and her Em and Christine riffed on how much of a misogynist they think Giuliano is. I think Christine has some kind of a background in journalism, whether it's her master's or her undergrad or whatever. It actually makes me more mad now knowing that Giuliano made Christine so mad. And Christine, to my knowledge, again, I didn't really take notes while I was listening to the episode. I don't think she made a comment on Nick.
Okay.
And to me, like, Giuliano just comes off as this like older Italian guy who's just a fucking misogynist. Again, like very similar vibes to Nick. But like, I don't understand how she couldn't have brought Nick up and talked about how
you don't think she views
way,
Nick as much of a ringleader as Giuliano was?
I think maybe she has more insight into the journalism community, or maybe she understands like his perspective in a different way than I do.
Sure.
But it makes me mad that she didn't call him out, you know? And I mean, Grant and I have been called out on the way that we tell stories, and I think it's fair. And this is just me pointing out that I think Christine could have done a better job about truly calling out the media's role in Amanda Knox's case, and she didn't. And I think she could have done a better job. And that's all I'll say about that. So the trials. So we have now 3 people on trial. We have Amanda and Raffaele, who are going to be tried together. And then when Rudy is brought in, the 3 of them are going to be tried together because according to...
And Rudy's the guy that fled initially.
The Ivory Coast, yeah. The Ivory Coast man. And so Rudy's attorney actually asks to remove Rudy from the group so that he can be tried separately. Okay. What his fear is that since there's so much concrete DNA evidence against Rudy, that Rudy will then be blamed for all of it, and then somehow like Amanda and Raffaele will have lesser sentences, even if they're all found guilty, than Rudy will. And so they ask to give Rudy a separate trial. And they also ask to speed up his trial. So he actually gets tried before Amanda and Raffaele do.
Okay.
And so, remember, initially on the Skype call, Rudy says that Amanda had nothing to do with it and was not there. On trial, his story really fucking conveniently changes.
Okay.
Obviously, he says he's innocent. His initial story is that he's innocent, that he went to the bathroom, he hears Meredith scream, and then he goes back out and finds Meredith like dying. On trial, he says that he saw the silhouette of Amanda Knox outside of the window leaving the house.
What?
Dude, I don't fucking know. He says like, oh, no, I saw her silhouette like outside the window. She might have been there. It's
too dark in the room for me to identify the man's face who I'm standing in front of. Mm-hmm. But then I go to the window and I wait and I can identify her silhouette.
Or like a woman's silhouette or some, I don't know. He says he sees another silhouette and he thinks it's Amanda. Regardless, he is found guilty and he's sentenced to 30 years. His lawyer appeals it. The sentence is shortened to 16.
What?
Dude, I don't.
Sorry, maybe listen, international listeners. I was gonna say foreign, but that's like not the right context for that word. International listeners. Maybe America's justice system is just super harsh and we are preconditioned to think of that from the beginning. Like I might be having like there's lead in your water reaction to that, like full on naming and noting. Yeah. 16 years. It
should be life, I feel like. If you think he killed somebody, it should be at least 20.
It's been longer than 16 years since he was tried.
Oh, he's released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's...
Whoa.
And again, might be having a lead in the water moment, chalking that up to like our own perverse American sense of like justice and our comfort with violence. But like, I think many of us view the moral high ground for a murder conviction is life in prison.
Yeah. His lawyer is another one that really pissed me off. His lawyer should have had a lawyer to tell him to not say the things that he's like would eventually say. There's a quote from him that we'll talk about later that I'm like, fuck you.
Oh, this guy like incriminates himself? Is that what you're saying?
No, he doesn't. No, Rudy's lawyer just makes a lot of like kind of misogynistic not misogynistic, racist comments towards Americans, which really feels wrong.
Oh, wow.
But when specifically talking about this, he says something later, I didn't write it down, that was like, people will say that Amanda and Raffaele had a worse defense than Rudy did. or a better defense on Rudy. I'm not sure. But he then says, like, and I would just ask them to consider who's spending more time in jail. Because at the end of this, we know that Amanda and Raffaele are going to be convicted and found guilty. They will be sentenced to 26 and 25 years, respectively.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so his then, like...
Whoa,
yeah,
what?
he then says, like, I would just ask them to consider who's spending less time in jail. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ,
Oh, he's
dude.
like, I did my job. My killer's getting out a decade earlier than those guys. I mean, but also, like, Rudy, right? That's his name? His DNA is so intertwined with the crime scene.
They found his DNA all over her room.
His DNA is found literally inside of her because of the rape he committed.
Yes.
Is he charged for that or just murder?
I don't know what the convictions were. I don't necessarily understand them. I believe in, and that's why we drink, Christine mentioned the specific charge he was given, and it was a little confusing because it didn't directly translate to something that made sense in America. I think the closest thing she found was in Canada. There's a similar charge, but it has specifically to do with sexual relations with a minor, and that doesn't make sense in this context because no one was a minor, but regardless. So on appeal, his sentence is reduced to 16 years. Did you know about Rudy?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I knew vaguely of Amanda's boyfriend.
Yes, exactly.
I remember there being kind of maybe, and now that you say more and more of it, like, oh, maybe there was like that sexual element to it a little bit from what I remember. Again, the first time I really remember catching news was an American has actually been found guilty in another country.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Like that does not happen to us.
And so if you're listening and you remember this case happening in real time, I think I remember seeing like maybe pictures of Amanda Knox, but again, I was in like middle school or something at the time. But like Nick of the Daily Mail, my dear friend, says, quote, no one was really that bothered about Rudy. I mean, obviously, we gave it the cursory coverage. We covered his trial, covered his sentence. But at the end of the day, there was no interest in him.
But it's like so bizarre because even if you believe everything from the prosecution, Amanda and her boyfriend, Raffaele, right? That's the name. Sorry, there's just a couple of names. I'm making sure I'm getting
Raffaele.
right. Amanda and her boyfriend, Raffaele, their extent of involvement in the murder is like holding Meredith down. Like it is gruesome if you believe the like portrayal, but yet still the most gruesome aspect is this man that lived in a neighborhood specifically stalked and then raped and murdered this woman. And that's even if you
broke in,
right?
You know?
If you believe the full prosecution's case, because obviously they make a case against Rudy too, he's still guilty of like the most grievous portions of the crime.
And I don't know if I wrote. I think I might have wrote this down later. Rudy has a history of BNAs, of breaking and entering. He has a criminal history, and neither Amanda. I think Amanda may have had some like minor misconduct issues in the U.S., like throwing a party or something like that.
Sure.
There was like maybe an instance I saw a news article. I didn't obviously get into the depths of it, that she maybe had to pay a fine because her and her friends were like being rowdy and drunk and like throwing rocks into the road or something like that. But everything that I found on Raffaele was like, he had no game with the girls. He was super into computers. And he was like, why the fuck would I kill this girl? There's no reason, you know? It's just absolutely fucking crazy. Anyway, newspapers were only selling if you mentioned Foxy Noxy and her cute Italian boyfriend. They weren't selling if you mentioned Rudy.
It might be actually these papers are selling because the story is so unbelievable because it's not true. Like you have passed off essentially horrific fan fiction as journalism. Yeah. And it's selling because it's so hard to believe because fact check, it's not believable based off like what's being presented.
It's just not. Like if Amanda had a history of demonic worship or like ritual sacrifice or some shit, maybe, but no.
I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of assume because she was found guilty initially, and I'm sorry for this presumption, but like I guess I assumed
that's the point of
the
this.
evidence was way tighter against her.
The evidence is there's DNA of her on a knife handle, DNA of Meredith on the blade of that knife, and DNA of Raffaele on a bra clasp. That's it.
Okay. I mean, certainly in an ideal world, there wouldn't be those things. And maybe that is the peak of an iceberg that shows a bunch of different stuff. But my at least initial perception had been that the evidence was at least a little bit tighter, was a little bit clearer. And that second, when she was found not guilty, she was found not guilty on a technicality.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I've perceived this entire case, which means I've been operating under the assumption that like maybe Amanda Knox did or didn't kill the person, but like it's kind of murky.
Yeah.
And this episode's doing a wonderful job of like, oh, maybe it's not actually
We
murky.
haven't even gotten to the worst part yet.
I feel like we have, but okay, good to know.
Nope. In terms of legal status, like the murder is the worst part. I want to be super clear on that. Anyway, so when Amanda and Raffaele's trial started, Giuliano's pretty convinced that it's going to be easy. Easy, breezy, beautiful. Because they have the DNA evidence on the knife handle and the knife blade, and then on the bra clasp. And they're being tried together. And because of the fact that Meredith's friends thought Amanda is the complete opposite of Meredith. It seems like Meredith is more... Amanda is definitely more outspoken, more outgoing, more like me in that there's no filter before words come out mouth, you know? And Meredith maybe had more sophistication in a way. She was raised in London. It seems like she was less sensual than Meredith might have been, than Amanda might have been, etc. Here's a headline showing that. Dead girl feared Knoxie's sex toy. Like,
to refer to any victim as just quote dead girl. Yeah.
You're literally erasing Meredith, the victim, from the entire narrative, and then just putting Knoxie there, which is also not her fucking last name, by the way. So here's Giuliano's theory. Here's the theory that gets presented in court. Meredith comes home and she finds Amanda and Raffaele and Rudy. They're all drinking. And Meredith, and maybe like getting up to some nonsense, like having some kind of sexual interaction with each other, maybe like kissing on the couch. Meredith is fed up and she scolds Amanda for her lack of morals. And Amanda is then immediately irritated and humiliated. And so she kind of corners Meredith and says, so you want to judge my morals so harshly? I'll show you what happens. Because, and this is a quote now from Giuliano, quote, she's a very proud girl. Here is the headline that the documentary showed while we're reading this. Lucifer-like, satanic, demonic, diabolical, a witch of deception. Fucking crazy. And so Amanda attacks Meredith. And since Rudy and Raffaele are trying to indulge Amanda that night, they help her.
What?
And Giuliano then says, quote, pleasure at any cost. This is the heart of most crimes. And they actually have actors in the courtroom reenacting this. So their theory is now that like she's attacking, and then Rudy raped her, Amanda stabbed her maybe, and then Raffaele strangled her. Something
Gotta
along
get
those lines.
Raffaele in there somewhere.
Touched her bra somewhere. So they're found guilty. The verdict comes back. Amanda is given 26 years and Raffaele's given 25. Giuliano then says, quote, asking for the conviction, such a severe penalty of two young people on a human level costs a lot. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm lucky not to be ashamed of myself. There is no doubt about the guilt of the pair. I just want to tell you now, this documentary that I got most of these quotes from is from 2016.
They're acting like this is like their Charles Manson. Like,
yep.
Okay.
Giuliano says, quote, normally people say nobody is a prophet in his own country, but that is not what I experienced. Complete strangers would come up to me and ask to shake my hand. They would congratulate me. It gave me satisfaction. Literally go fuck yourself. But Meredith's family, and again, it's really hard for me to judge Meredith's family at all because they've experienced this great tragedy.
They've experienced a series of great tragedies.
Yes. They're pleased with this decision.
Okay.
They do genuinely believe that Amanda is guilty in this scenario. There's a lot that could get in. It's hard to judge them, especially because they didn't talk a lot to the press, which I fully respect.
Right.
But it then becomes hard to really understand their thinking. It seems like the parents, for the most part, took a step back and didn't do a lot of the talking. It was Meredith's sister, and I think one of her brothers, whose name was Lyle, and then the sister was Stephanie. I don't know the third brother or the second brother's name. It is really hard to kind of judge their headspace in this scenario. But This is a quote from Amanda. Quote, "Suddenly I found myself tossed into this dark place. I was so scared. Like, who do you turn to? What do you do? I thought about suicide. I thought about all the ways I could do it. Because if she lived out this sentence, she would not come home until she was in her 50s.
Right.
She would not get to see the funerals of a lot of her family members. She wouldn't get to see the birth of nieces and nephews.
Right. She'd be a pariah for the rest of her life.
Yes, exactly. She would miss her graduation, which was supposed to happen in 3-4 years or whatever. Raffaele spent almost 6 months in solitary confinement. Yeah.
What?
Isn't that... It's
for a person with take the case is the only violent incident on record of him ever.
Yes. They put him in solitary confinement. And I mentioned Amanda contemplated suicide. This is just another brief trigger warning that Raffaele will also contemplate suicide. He says that he experienced deep depression. He still has feelings for Amanda, and Amanda, I think, at this point has kind of stopped having feelings for him.
She's probably desensitized to everything.
Exactly. I think she's going through it in and of herself. He wants to send her flowers to show her that, like, hey, you're not alone. Like, I'm here with you. Like, this sucks, but I'm thinking about you. I have feelings for you. But he knows by this point that she is not feeling the same at this point, and so that's another reason that throws him into a deep depression, because he desperately wants to have some kind of connection with someone, I think. And he says that he's only known her for 5 days, but those 5 days were everything to him, which is just really sad. So now we're going to go back. This is now part 2. Do you want to take a break for a second?
Okay, we're back.
We're back. Hello.
I also feel like we are now deep enough into this episode that I know what are my lanes for things I can mock and what are things I can't mock, you know?
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now we're in the things that you can mock about those two guys.
Because for the first hour, I'm like, I don't know what direction the story is taking yet, so I don't know what I'm supposed to be flipping
You know
about.
who, at least in my perception, the heroes are. ASMR with Grandma.
All right, we're rolling.
Okay. So now we're entering part 2, which I didn't actually intentionally make a part 2 because I don't know, I've kind of been jumping around these notes because I knew the direction I wanted to take the story, but I had not arranged my notes in that way.
But there's definitely a part 3?
No.
Okay,
No.
I thought that's what you said at the beginning.
No, I mean the media, the police, and now we're in Raffaele and Amanda's perspective.
Okay,
so
okay.
technically part 3, but the first part was really short, so.
Yes, okay.
So we're in Amanda and Raffaele's POV. So we're actually going to talk about how
Okay, interesting.
how we led up to them getting to where they are.
All of this is up to the kind of trigger warning, we recognize there's some things that we're missing. We're going to get to it. I love that.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is now Amanda and Raffaele. We're going to talk about their experience meeting each other, their experience before getting to Italy in Amanda's case, their experience finding out that something was wrong with Meredith. And then again, I don't think either of them ever actually saw the crime scene, probably until trial.
Right. Didn't you say Amanda? No, they did not bring Amanda to the house.
They did after the fact, but I don't think the crime scene was still intact. They only brought her into the kitchen. I don't know if they ever brought her into Meredith's room. But anyway, this is now Amanda's. We're going to have a lot of quotes. I'm going to make Grant read some of them. This is Amanda about why she decided to go to Italy in the first place. Okay. She is self-described as being quirky and ridiculous and okay with that. She's like my worst nightmare in terms of the fact that I made a lot of cringy content when in 2007, but I was a lot younger. And she had access to YouTube and Facebook and all of that stuff and MySpace and made all of that same kind of cringy content that then made it onto the internet.
Right.
But anyway, that's kind of who she is as a person, and she was very unapologetic in that sense. Here's a quote saying, "I remember thinking, okay, I'm different. I'm my own person, but I'm going to find my place. Going into college, I felt a little behind. I didn't depend on myself much, and I felt like it was very important for me to get out of my comfort zone and see if that made me turn into an adult. Italy has so much history, ruins, art, vineyards, and I thought, I will find myself in this new place." There's a video of her answering questions from one of her sisters before Amanda left for Italy, and her sister asked if she was excited to go to Italy, and Amanda's response was, "Fuck yeah, bitch."
That's usually how I feel before I go to Italy too.
That's like who she is as a person. We all know that person, you know? And so she finds herself in Perugia. And I believe she lives with 3 other girls, one of which being Meredith, the other 2 being Italians. I didn't find a lot of insight into her relationship with the other 2 roommates, but she did live with 2 other people. She described Meredith, the British one, as being the one who was super sophisticated as one of her roommates. And they lived in a house that overlooked a valley. It's actually beautiful if you watch the documentary or see any pictures of it. She said, quote, "I was expecting that I was going to be a part of this scholarly program, and it turned out to be 0 work. And so I thought, okay, I might as well get a job." And so she meets Patrick Lumumba, or Dia Lumumba, who is trying to get his bar off the ground. And so he thinks hiring this beautiful blonde American girl will help draw people into his bar.
Sure.
And I'm not actually sure if it worked or not, to be totally honest with you. Granted, she probably only worked for him for like a month or so.
Right.
But she says, quote, "In Seattle, I was cute. But in Italy, I was the beautiful blonde American girl." Ooh. And that I had never been before.
We love an angle.
Yeah. And so I'll show you some pictures now. So this was Meredith when she was younger. I'm not actually sure what year this was. Or sorry, not Meredith. Amanda.
Okay, so this is Amanda.
That's Amanda around that time. And then
beret and a bright red lipstick.
Yeah. And then this is Meredith.
Oh yeah, that's also such a 2007 Facebook
They're
photo.
all like,
that's yeah. That was not taken with a digital camera.
10 out of 10 watch the documentary just for the photos, especially like the photos that you see of Amanda and Meredith both. You get such a vivid like picture of who they were back then, you know? So then October 25th, remember, they find Meredith's body on November 2nd. So October 25th,
okay,
Raffaele and Amanda meet.
Oh my God.
At a classical music concert. And then there's just like a bunch of quotes. So if you just want to go through all 4 of them,
sure.
You can also read the.
And whose voice is this? Oh, it's Raffaele.
Yeah, it'll show you.
Okay. So Raffaele, in a thick Italian accent, edited for clarity. "I went to a classical music concert and there was this girl alone. She was very, very pretty. When I looked at her, she looked at me back. I was so shy that even though she looked at me and she smiled at me, I was turning around and thinking, is she looking at somebody behind me? No, it was me. So after I realized it, I said, why are we not talking?" That's a great line.
I know.
Luckily, he could speak English, and so they got along swimmingly. Raffaele again. Quote, "I showed her a beautiful panorama of Perugia, which for me was very romantic. And I had my heart beating so fast, like, you know, like, oh, there's the romance now." And I kissed her. "I grew up in the southern part of Italy, close to the sea. I was very shy, and I didn't date girls. Who cares when you can have the new Sega, I love that, the video game, Sega Mega Drive or PlayStation." Amanda remembers being completely charmed by him. Amanda, quote, "I had never been in love before. From there on out, like as soon as I got out of class, we were going on walks together and getting pizza and going to the outdoor market. And he wanted to get me a perfume because all Italian ladies have perfumes. It was just a week. And we spent every single day with each other, taking pictures, smoking pot, and making love."
Yeah.
I think that's also really interesting because that feels in many ways like a 20-year-old's experience with like romance at the time, where it like just completely consumes you. To our younger listeners who are in college, if your friend is in a relationship and then you never see them, that's very much typical for your age, and hopefully doesn't continue to happen as you get older.
Yes. I can't remember what Maddie called it. Maddie has a very specific term for that. It's like
that honeymoon phase at the beginning.
That honeymoon phase, especially when it's a first like long-term boyfriend or like serious boyfriend or something like that, or girlfriend or partner or whatever. At Mines, this is not necessarily about being in a relationship. This just like came to me in a moment. We called it RIBS as an acronym because at Mines there was a really heavy disproportionate amount of men. And so
Okay.
I think my class was like 30% women, maybe slightly less, maybe like 28% women. And then the rest were men. And some girls got that in their head because men were, I mean, the pond was smaller.
Okay.
Right? And so you got hit on a lot more.
Oh.
And we called it ratio-induced bitch syndrome.
I had, during your entire little story up to that point, been trying to, I was like a computer, but not ChatGPT because I would never, like going through it, trying to like autofill what it could be. Ratio-induced bitch syndrome.
Ribs. I can like see the faces of the girls that me and my friends were like, will you fucking act normal for like 3
That's
seconds?
so funny.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the sad story. November 2nd. Or the night of November 1st into November 2nd. Amanda was with Raffaele at his apartment, and I probably alluded to this earlier. They watched a movie. They were watching Amelie together, and while watching it...
What a first romance 20-year-old movie to watch together.
And in the documentary, you can see her acknowledge that, like, while she's saying it. She's like, we were watching Amelie.
It's like, it's not a cancelable movie. Like, it's not cringy in
But
that
there
way.
are boobs.
It's just like... And every guy who's like, I know a movie we could watch,
Amelie.
who wants to be like seen as deep
Yes.
and interesting.
They're not going to show you like the classic, like The Godfather or something.
Exactly,
like that. Yeah.
exactly. They know not to show you Godfather, and they're waiting till the third date to show you a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's the one French film they saw 3 years ago.
Yeah. So they're watching Amelie. In the middle of watching Amelie, she gets a boss from Lumumba saying, you don't need to come in to work. And so she's like, amazing, great. Wink,
Right.
wink. I'm going to spend the night with my hot Italian boyfriend.
Right.
And so they make dinner. She reads from him from a German Harry Potter book. And then they, quote unquote, make love and then pass out and fall asleep.
Right.
The next
And have probably one of the best nights of their life.
Yeah. Just like
Meanwhile, across town, this horrific
horrible
event
things are happening.
is happening that they will be then held accountable for.
Yep. And they have no idea. So the next day she goes back to her place. She's alone at first. The first thing she sees is that her front door is already open. And if you'll remember, I told you when she's being interrogated over and over again, she starts getting like hallucinatory kind of because she's been in there for so long and she just starts seeing things. She sees the street in front of Raphael's apartment. She says her door being open, the brown leather jacket her boss would wear, and then theoretically like a scream or something. And that's how she puts together that her boss had murdered Meredith.
Right.
So her door was already open and she's like, huh, weird. Anyway, and she goes in. Her room and the main room are normal. And so she's like, okay, maybe like someone had a night and like it was just
Forgot to
Halloween.
close the door.
You know, they
Yeah.
forgot to close the door. So she goes into her bathroom and she sees a drop of blood in the sink and she's like, weird. Okay. Anyway, she brushes her teeth, takes a shower.
Oh my God.
She then is stepping out of the shower and there's more blood on the bath mat. And she's just kind of like, weird, but like maybe someone cut themselves while shaving,
Right.
you know? And then she's blow drying her hair. And that's when she noticed the toilet hadn't been flushed and there's feces in there. There's poop in there. That's the other piece of evidence that connects to Rudy.
What?
The poop in the toilet.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to hear that.
And so at least if you listen to Em and Christine's episode, Christine is like, and I thought that was gross. And Christine's like, and Em is then like, well, I just assumed someone would have had like a really bad night. Like they were super drunk and like cut themselves shaving and then pooped and then went to bed, you know, and like had a horrible night. And so like, yeah,
Yeah, that is weird.
it's all gross and like kind of strange, but it's not like my roommate's been murdered, you know?
Hard for me to say because I don't live with anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I would just
Yeah.
be grossed out.
Because you remember when you were like in college, had roommates, like you
Yeah.
probably saw crazy ass shit.
I worked hard to get to a place where I would have my own bathroom about as quickly as possible. Start of junior year of college, I was like, I can't.
The panic Grant has when he has to poop at my house is so funny to watch.
Hey, I gotta leave. I'll see you in 2 days.
Or like he's like, I need to use the bathroom, and I'm like, okay, and he's like, no, I need to use the bathroom. Which one should I use?
Yeah,
And I'm like, the one upstairs, probably.
Yeah. No, no, yes.
Yeah.
I'm a cleanly person.
Anyway, she sees the poop and is like, okay, that was one too many straws. You know, like
Something's up.
something's up. She calls Raphael, and she's like, I'm creeped out. she gets this weird feeling that someone else is in the apartment, and she's like, I gotta, like, someone come help. So she calls Raffaele. I think probably because he knows she's already freaked out, he walks in already being freaked out, and he feels like it's a total mess in there, and is just like, I think it might have been.
I'm not trying to think of all of our friends' houses as I've walked into them, like.
When in the documentary, she recognizes, she's like, I mean, my room and the normal room were normal. I mean, my room, like, messy but normal. Which, like,
yeah,
same girl. And so they try to get into Meredith's room, but it's locked. And that's strange. And so Amanda knocks on the door lightly and, like, calls Meredith's name. No response. She knocks harder, calls Meredith's name louder. And eventually she starts getting really freaked out. She asks Raffaele to try and kick down the door. He tries a couple times, is unable to. And so Raffaele then calls the police on both of their behalves. And he says, quote, hello, good morning. I mean, translated now. Hello, good morning. Listen, someone made a mess and there is a door closed and there's also blood marks in the bathroom. And the operator says, which door is closed? And he says, one of the roommates. We don't know where she is. And so the police show up and they immediately kick Amanda and Raffaele out. So that's why I'm, like, pretty certain they've never seen the crime scene
okay,
up till this point. And so from here, everything Amanda learns is from the police because they're coming in and out of the house and telling her what's happening. And so she hears, like, them talk about how there's so much blood and how her throat's been slit. She doesn't know Meredith's dead. That's how she finds out Meredith's dead, is that there's so much blood.
They're describing how she's been found.
Yes. Isn't that, like, it's like a unique kind of horrible.
It's horrifying, and it's also trigger warning now for a crime that happened in the U.S. the last year and a half. It's not going to be a graphic description, but if that kind of stuff freaks you out and you're still part of this episode, you might want to fast forward for, like, about a minute.
Yeah.
So I would do that now. There was that murder of those 4 young people in Moscow, Idaho.
Yes. Yeah.
And what sticks out in my brain is that the 2 roommates who were in the house and survived the attack had a suspicion that something was going on, but, like, your brain struggles to get all the way up to there's a life-threatening, someone's been murdered. Right. Like, it's such a high bar for your brain to actually get to, that even though one of them texted in that group chain, like, I think I saw someone in the hallway, they didn't leave their rooms, right?
Yeah, that case gives me
100%.
so much anxiety.
100%.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you the footage of the kiss because they're now outside. Giuliano is now investigating the scene. One of the first impressions he has of Meredith and Raffaele is them kissing outside, and he remembers thinking that's inappropriate.
Okay.
That's filmed.
By whom?
Maybe at, like, a news media outlet or something. There's a lot of footage from around this time. The volume is really low because it's someone narrating over it, but this is the footage.
It's like 3 quick little pecks, and then like, as soon as they pull away on the third one, she's immediately looking to the police, and she's, like, concerned, and he's, like, kind of rubbing her arms, like in the way you would if someone was, like, cold or something like that. It's not the Bonnie and Clyde passionately making out on their hood of the car, shotguns in hand, that, like, I think they want you to believe it is.
And even the photo that you get, like, you can, like, a still frame from that is even very different from the footage.
Right.
Like, a still frame is like, yeah, they're kissing. But, like, the footage, like, you can tell her, like, eyebrows are furrowed. Like, she's not happy.
No.
But, I mean, like, from the still frame, you don't get that same vibe, you know? It's hard.
It's giving young love. It's giving concern. It's not giving, like, passionate.
It's giving, I met this hot Italian man a week ago, and now he's here comforting me while the police are in my house because I suspect something's wrong. I don't even know if she had found out yet that Meredith was dead, you know? So now here's a quote from Amanda. Quote, Meredith was my friend of a few weeks. We weren't lifetime best friends, but I was so shocked by what happened to her.
Yeah.
It made no sense. It was brutal, and it could have happened to me. And here's a quote from from Raffaele, kind of in reference to his connection to the case, because the entire time he's like, I'm not this, like, sex crazed person. You know, he says, quote, when I was with Amanda, I was so happy to enjoy life, to enjoy my new relationship. Why should I go and murder a girl? This, for me, is craziness. So now we're going to skip forward a bunch because we've talked about the trial. We know that they were convicted. They got 26 and 25 years respectively. So they're in jail for a while. We're skipping forward to 3 years after. I think this is 2010.
Okay.
This is an American reporter. He says, quote, "The convicted killer, Amanda Knox, was back in court today. They called her Foxy Knoxy. Looked a little more pale today, skinnier than she had been in the past. Maybe could use hair and makeup, but I guess you don't get that in jail." What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? We already know Rudy was also involved.
It's also giving like convicted murderer, who's also an ugly fat bitch, by the way, and that's super important too.
Like, haha, you can't be pretty and beautiful because you're in jail. Like, what?
Right. And like, I guess I understand that coverage if you like truly do think this person is like evil and corrupt and whatever, and you're like trying to find ways, but like then you're still like bone chilling murderous Amanda Knox,
Yeah.
who murdered her roommate for the kicks of it all.
Yeah.
Was back.
It's wild, yeah. So she gives a tear-filled appeal to the court. Notably, now it's in fluent Italian because she's been there. Before it said that she probably had the speaking ability of maybe like a 14-year-old. Like,
Okay.
she's able to speak, but she doesn't know the colloquialism. She doesn't know the slang, hence the text to her boss, you know?
Right.
But now it's like she
And
can
this is her
speak.
appeal case.
This is her appeal, or part of the appeal. This is an appeal to re-examine the DNA evidence. And the court gives the go-ahead. If you'll remember, again, they found a knife that they think is the murder weapon at Raffaele's house. Meredith is found at Amanda's house. They find the weapon at Raffaele's house. There is Amanda's DNA on the handle, and then Meredith's on the blade. And then they find Raffaele's DNA on a bra clasp found at Amanda's house.
Okay.
Meredith's bra clasp at Amanda's house. So let's talk about DNA. It's easy to spread. Super fucking easy to spread.
Right.
That's why if you ever watch crime shows, or if you're watching news coverage of like a crime happen, the forensic analysts are wearing often like essentially hazmat suits, like head to toe coverage. They're wearing like booties covering their shoes. They're wearing gloves. They're wearing like face masks. They're wearing like the white, I don't know, like long sleeve shirts and then full length pants. Something as even common as swiping your hand over your skin can leave DNA somewhere. It's just leaving a dead skin cell somewhere. So for that reason, crime scenes have to be kept incredibly sterile when you're doing forensic evidence. That's why it's such a big deal when a crime scene has been contaminated, because now you can't trust what DNA that you find places.
Right.
And like, you don't want to move DNA from one spot to another because that's also another issue. And so it has to be completely kept sterile. You have to change your like foot coverings whenever you move from place to place. You have to change hand coverings from dealing with certain pieces of evidence to other pieces of evidence. Plot twist, that's not how this scene is handled.
Right.
Giuliano is never seen in any of those get-ups.
Oh, so he's just traipsing through.
He's just walking fucking around. There are people in these get-ups, but you can see from the footage, because there's a decent amount of footage, that they're not changing their gloves often enough. They're not changing their booties often enough.
Which, like, also, considering this town probably doesn't get crimes like this regularly, means that they shouldn't be so flippant about it.
Yes. Which is another reason why people are like, oh, they wanted to catch someone right away because this is a town that doesn't get international media coverage like this. They wanted to prove that they could handle it.
It's very much giving small town sheriff.
Exactly. And they also have like essentially body cam footage of some of the actual forensic investigators talking about how poorly they thought the crime scene was being handled. And one of them says, quote, "There's unbelievable disorganization in every respect." The third party brought in after the appeal to reanalyze the DNA evidence said, quote, "In other words, total chaos." So the bra clasp with Raffaele's DNA was found 46 days after the murder.
What?
It
Like
was
in the room still?
It was found around the same time the knife was found at his apartment. But that's 46 days after.
Of people being in and out of this crime
in and
scene.
out, and like you don't know what the fuck has been going on. It's found underneath a rug.
Can I ask, when does a cleaning team move into a crime scene like that?
No idea.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. So by this point, according to the third party people that are brought in after the appeal, there's almost no way for the scene for anything found in the scene at 46 days after to be used for evidence.
Okay.
But when they re-examine the bra clasp, they do again find a trace of Raffaele's Solicito's DNA. But they also find 2 unknown profiles that the police, they think, had seen and just never tested.
Say that part to me again. Sorry,
They
what?
found 3 profiles on the clasp.
Okay.
One is Raffaele's, they think, maybe. There's 2 other profiles that are then never tested
Okay.
by the police. For fuck up, like, why? Why would you not test that?
Right.
What, you would just test one and then just be like, yep, that's it, got him. Like, what?
Okay.
Are you fucking kidding me? There's also contamination issues with the laboratory
That's
that tested it.
exactly what my next thought was.
Yep.
Like, do all 3 of these just end up in a box together, rubbing up against each other?
Potentially.
And that, like, you know, if the bra clasp touches the knife blade, instantly DNA's there. You
Yep.
know, the knife comes from Raffaele's
Raffaele's
apartment.
apartment.
And so it's an exchange of things.
Who knows? Yeah, because the forensic experts on appeal re-examined the DNA on the knife, and they do conclusively find Amanda's DNA on the handle, which makes sense because they were making dinner that night.
Right.
But they do find some of Meredith's DNA on the blade, but it is such a small amount that they're like, we actually can't conclusively tell if this is contamination or not because
Right.
it's such a small sample. And so they confirm Amanda's is a good profile and it's a solid match. And they say that the smaller the sample, the more likelihood
It's contameration.
that it's contamination and not an actual piece of DNA. And so they ask the police, they're like, hey, when you were testing this, what was the scene like when you were
Right.
testing this in the lab? And they were like, oh, we examined 50 of Meredith's DNA samples at the same time.
Ah.
Yeah, that'll fucking do it.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it's a lot. It feels like a lot. Knowing nothing about that field, it feels like a lot.
It feels just like already, like compared to Rudy.
And it's like, if Raphael is involved in the way he would need to be for the crime to play out the prosecution has laid out, then his DNA
need
would
to
be
be
all
way-
over him.
It would be as similar to Rudy
Right.
as it could be. And Rudy's DNA is found all over the room, literally inside of Meredith,
Right.
on Meredith, in the
Right.
bathroom. And then they find one tiny piece of Raphael's.
Meanwhile, the DNA evidence that implicates Amanda is that Amanda touched a
Cooked.
knife at her boyfriend's
Yes.
apartment.
When they were cooking dinner, she said initially, we cooked dinner, we watched Amelie, we smoked pot, we had sex.
Right. And this is a knife that they then found months later.
Yes.
Right.
A month later.
A month later, right? When she has presumably now no longer able to go to her home, that's an active crime scene, spent more time at Raphael's.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Who knows? Yeah. And so the new forensic experts are certain that Meredith's DNA is a result of contamination, just based off of the fact that they're like, hey, this is already such a small piece of DNA that we can't be certain of it, regardless of the circumstances. And
Right.
you're telling me that the circumstances of its testing have a high risk of contamination. So we're going to have to go ahead and say this is probably contamination. So Nick, the fucking Daily Mail goddamn hack-ass journalist, said, quote, when it came out, I mean, it was just crazy. The botched investigation and the bungled forensic work. I remember audible gasp from the press and from everyone in the court. Yeah, I had the same...
Who could have fed that narrative for
I
a year
had
and a
no
half?
idea. Maybe it's because you were making so much money selling newspapers that every other newspaper felt like they had to report on the same exact fucking narrative, you goddamn fucking idiot.
Right.
Sorry if you have people who don't like cursing in the room. I don't know. Sorry. I hate this guy. The American media is like pissed, I think.
Sure.
Anderson Cooper is shown at some point. I just love seeing him.
I do hate it that, like, I mean, I think I hate it and I love it. Americans will kind of coalesce around other Americans when other people are yelling at us.
Yeah, we're like, hey, fuck those Italians.
It is it's the family rule. And I've said this about some of my own family members. I am allowed to say whatever I want about them.
dare
But I'll
you
see
even
you
open
in
your
those
mouth.
streets if you say anything about them, you know?
Yep.
American media being like, ha ha, we were right, is actually so par for the course. It almost makes me feel good about American journalism. Almost.
If we were literally in any other time frame.
Right.
Yeah. So the American media is like questioning how the situation got so bad, given the botched like investigation, how it got so bad that these two people have now been arrested. Trump is on record saying that he thought the president should get involved and how Americans should now boycott Italy.
This is in 2008, 2009?
Probably 2010, 2011.
Okay.
This documentary aired in 2016, which I think makes it funnier.
Yeah. I mean, it's
But
still
it's also, like-
pre his election, but
I love seeing clips of Trump before he was in political office because he just said the absolute most insane shit that you're like, yeah, bitch.
and he still does, but now it's like, I don't think you should have birthright citizenship. And everyone's like, what the fuck?
Who said that to you?
Right.
Because that's not an
That's
original
not a thought
idea
you would
for
have.
you. Yeah.
Who taught this baby that word?
Birthright citizenship. I'm going to try
That
it.
really helped. That really did something to you. Wow. I didn't think I was going to get a
I'm
laugh
going
like
to
that.
teach my next niece or nephew a birthright citizenship. I'm going to say it so much to them
And
that it's our first word.
Birthright citizenship is a legal right.
And then they're going to be an immigration lawyer.
Good.
Anyway, so they're questioning how things get this bad. They're kind of newsacres are making fun of Italy for being like not as good at the
Yeah.
law as they are. I'm like, okay.
America
Calm
has
down.
a perfect track record, so we
Perfect
can
track
judge
record.
others.
This is Rudy's lawyer. Rudy's lawyer, the one that I was like, he was kind of racist against Americans. His name, literally, Walter Biscotti.
Walter Biscotti of Mario and Luigi and Brothers Associates.
And Coffee Biscotti.
Esquire.
He said, obviously translated into English from Italian, Biscotti is a wild last name to be then racist towards other people. He said, it bothered me that the American media lectured us about the law. This courthouse, like the one that they're actually trying this case in 1308, housed the first faculty of law in Europe. In America, in 1308, they were drawing buffaloes in caves.
Oh, that's just racism. That's just fucking racism.
I guess not even Americans, like indigenous people.
Right.
Like, at least we have air conditioning now, Walter Biscotti.
Like, okay, wow. Because A, it's like, what, again, insane racism towards indigenous people who had like complex and beautiful societies that were intentionally shattered by
Yes.
European colonists. But then second, the America you're actually criticizing was built on those European traditions.
You, bitch.
English,
Literally you.
English law set the bedrock for American legal justice system, and in many ways still kind of does.
That's why
you know?
we're all kind of white here.
Yeah, also, like, and how dare you make me defend America's legal justice system? How dare you make me make small talk to the... No, I'm kidding. But, like, at least America still requires a jury to be unanimous in its verdict, something that's not guaranteed in Europe, by the way.
Walter Biscotti.
And also, I know the detective's last name is Mangini, even better than it was. His first name's what, Giuliano? I know his last name's Mangini because it's so close to like Maggiano's, which is one of my favorite Italian restaurants. Like all of these people are just like, they have a really good baked ziti. Is like all I have been thinking about this episode. If you're an Italian listener, we appreciate your culture. Maya and I have soaked it up, but
quite literally obsessed with your culture. Hate these specific men, though.
Good. I think we've offended and apologized to everyone at the same time.
In America, in 1308, they were drawing buffaloes, and I had to like pause that. I was sitting in the coffee shop this morning. I was like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
Did you just say?" Giuliano then says, "Quote." Sorry, this quote made me so mad. My little note underneath this was literally "Go fuck yourself." So get ready. Quote. I was irritated by all this avalanche of attacks, especially against me and the police. The American media was focusing only on the DNA. Every piece of proof has aspects of uncertainty. That's why evidence needs to be evaluated in its entirety. I hear talk. Quote, for me, Amanda's guilty because she said too many lies. End quote. I have to remind you that her behavior was completely inexplicable, totally irrational. There is no doubt of this.
And like in America today, even though we have a really complex history of this, we understand that like people respond differently to grief and pressure and the accusation of being murdered. And actually what we've kind of seen too, thanks to like TV portrayals of Nancy Grace and whatever else, but it's like regardless of how you act, it will be viewed as questionable.
Yes.
I mean, that's even the Scott Peterson case until you find out what a huge piece of shit
He's a piece of shit. But
But until then, you're all
still
like, hey, that's a way someone could foreseeably grieve this situation.
even though he is guilty, I mean, in my life.
Again, it's like we're yelling at the people in the front yard. Leave our shit alone.
Yeah. Have you seen, there's like a reel of these two guys. It's like a door cam footage.
Okay.
And they're walking into one of their houses. It's two older men. And they hear gunshots. And then one of them just turns and goes, "Ah, damn, what you got to do that for? You call the wee-woos." Then it just cuts to them. They're in their front yard wearing like literally nightcaps. And they're just going, wee-woo, wee-woo, as the cops drive in front of them.
I want you to know I have seen that video because you've showed
I know,
me
I
it
love it
like
so
3
much.
times. And here's the thing too, every time you show it to me, I don't give you the response you clearly need me to give
I'm
you.
just going to keep telling you.
Right. So when I don't give you the response, it doesn't get like recorded in your brain that you've shown it to me. And so I keep seeing it and I keep having to be like, that's great. And I love it.
Still didn't record.
Okay, so
Casey and I started crying laughing at that video and still do.
So we have Mangiano's Italian craft kitchen
Yes.
and wannabe Simon Powell
Yes.
upset that their bad work is now
Yes.
not being appreciated by a, not even a higher standard, just a standard.
Just international media.
Okay.
Yeah. So my response was literally go fuck yourself. And so I said, I'm just going to read this now. This is all train of thought. So let's get this straight. There's no DNA of Amanda and Meredith's room. There's Raffaele's DNA on the bra clasp that was found 46 days after the murder in an unsecured crime scene. And there's inconclusive DNA showing Meredith's DNA on the unconfirmed blade of the... Because we don't even know for sure that that's the murder weapon.
Right.
That's the other fucking thing. And then there's DNA of her on the handle, which she openly admitted that they cooked together that night.
There's also, and I'm not a lawyer, obviously I'm not privy to all the facts of this case, but part of me is also like, surely you could make a case that Raphael had maybe met Meredith once,
Yes.
twice.
Yeah.
He knows this person so little.
He had known.
He knows Amanda so
for 5
little.
days.
He is a stranger
Yes.
in many senses to many of the people in this story.
Yes. Exactly. Giuliano can say all he wants that Amanda acted weird or acted in a way that he didn't understand, but that is not guilt, and there's no evidence proving Amanda or Raphael's guilt other than his gut feeling. And his
Because
own
of the
audacity.
wild Halloween sacrifice sex party orgy that he came up with in his own head.
Yep.
It is giving a little bit, just a smidge of people who are like, look at those queers, these sexual perverts, and then they get really specific about what they think
But
other
it's like,
people
that
are
said
doing.
more about you than it did
it's
about
like,
me.
babes, what is your source material? That has no basis in anything. It's like, I have all these pride TikToks.
You're projecting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have all these pride TikToks on my For You pages right now. And one of my favorites is people go up to, the like street pastors or whatever, which I feel like is a bad use of the term street and pastor, but that's kind of what we get in that situation. And they hold up a sign next to the street pastor, and the sign just says, "These guys never miss a gay event." And I'm like,
Interesting.
interesting, hot
Again.
Lord, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Please don't crash the next plane I'm on.
They don't know. They don't know what that's a reference to. Continue.
Okay. Amanda then says, quote, "What's more likely, that I get together with this boyfriend that I've had and this guy that I don't even know his name, tell them to rape my roommate and then let me stab her to death, or that a guy who regularly committed burglaries, broke into my home, found Meredith, took advantage of her, killed her, and ran off. A burglary gone wrong."
Do they find is it Rudy's DNA in the toilet too?
Yes. Yeah, that's the other.
Of course
yeah,
it is.
Yeah. That's
Proving
why
he had been there long enough to.
That's
like,
also why he said in the Skype call, "I went to use the bathroom." He knew exactly what he had left. Giuliano then says, ooh, this one really made me mad. Quote, "It has been said to me that it could have been no one but Rudy. It's him and only him." Well, I don't think that's very fair.
Of who? Of
Yeah.
what?
What?
Of your own personal feelings?
Of Rudy? A convicted fucking criminal?
Right. A person whose appeal is not proceeding through the criminal justice system?
What? Four years later, so this is now a year past. This is 2011. Now, after this, I got a little bitter and I started writing headlines from syndicated news articles and then wrote the actual authors of them because I was like, Nick Pisa can go rot in fucking hell.
Okay.
This is 2011. Amanda Knox freed after 4 years in case that has no winners. And then the byline or the line underneath that: Americans set to return home after verdict handed down amid extraordinarily tense courtroom scenes, by John Hooper and Tom Kingston. So this is the verdict after the appeal. The two are absolved of guilt in 2011.
They described it as an unusually what scene in the courtroom?
Tense. Extraordinarily tense courtroom scenes.
So they're exonerated, but there's not like this big celebration of their exoneration.
No,
Okay.
because of the media.
Right.
If you were just the regular ass person and you had seen those headlines, what would you believe?
Right.
Right.
I mean, I shared at the
Yeah,
start.
exactly.
Like what I remembered.
Yeah.
From her. I thought she got off on a technicality.
Exactly. And so they're declared absolved of guilt. They are immediately released. Amanda is led out and she's in tears. People outside of the courthouse are unhappy. And they're unhappy that Amanda has been declared not guilty. And they start chanting shame, like loudly and over and over and over again. This is a quote now from an Italian politician. Quote, "She was beside herself with joy, and there was a huge cheer when she returned to the prison, an ovation from every cell. Everyone was shouting, 'Libera, libera, libera.'"
Is it libre?
Libera. Libera.
Okay.
Yeah, liberation maybe. It was like being in a football stadium and was something I will never forget. Amanda saluted the other prisoners with a timid wave. She didn't really know how to react. So
her fellow cellmates are glad
like,
she's innocent.
hell yeah. And then the Italian citizens who have only been consuming media are saying,
And that
fuck
feels
you.
telling too.
Right?
You know? I mean, you hear stories of, sorry for another name here, Luigi Mangione.
Yeah.
Is being treated so well.
I'm so excited to cover
Right.
that case in like 2 years.
I'm nervous. I'm not about your retelling,
I'm
but
nervous
just the
about
way the
his-
case is
yes,
going to go.
Same.
Maybe I shouldn't say that.
I'm
yeah.
excited to see how it plays out in courts.
That like there is that's just interesting. That's an
It's
interesting.
interesting the like severe dichotomy
Yeah.
between the two. So I said that's by an Italian politician. This is by Rocco Ghirlanda, who is an Italian politician, an Italian MP. And the Daily Mail would report, so he actually met Amanda in the prison when she came back before she got released to Rome with her family. The Daily Mail would report that this politician had been having dreams of Amanda and had been using his position to get access to her. I don't know about the dreams part.
This is an Italian politician?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I mean, he did write a book about her, about his interactions with her. I think he called it Talk with Amanda Knox in Prison, Take Me With You. It was published in 2010, so a year before she was exonerated.
Okay.
Or released. And like, I don't know about the dream part. It seems like him and her did develop a friendship and maybe he viewed it inappropriately. I don't think she ever did.
Maybe she viewed it as a high-profile person in the Italian government who could help free an innocent person.
Who could advocate for her. But the fact that the Daily Mail then framed it in this like vaguely sexual way for this person who had like advocated, it just felt gross to me. Like,
anyone who speaks on behalf of Amanda Knox is a sex freak.
and it did seem, because I spent a lot of time in the archives or like on the Wayback Machine on Daily Mail. And it does seem like around this time he was also in the news, and I didn't get into why he was also in the news, but it seemed like they were really trying to play that aspect of it up. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, whatever, fucking, I'm also just mad at the Daily Mail right now. So I probably have a bias. She goes to Rome, spends a night in Rome with her family, and then flies home to Seattle the next day.
The way I would be instantly ordering Chinese food.
Shut the fuck up.
Sorry, no one does it better than Americans. I mean, maybe the Chinese, I've never been to China before, but like, I'm not having it in Europe.
When we were at Pride, my first move when I first showed up at the bar was to order 2 drinks, because I was like, I just know there's no way Grant's in that crowd in front of the stage without like kind of needing another drink kind of soon.
Doesn't want to leave his spot.
And I gave it to Grant, and he went, I want to take you away from this place. And I was like, I did the right thing.
Our energies overlap really well.
It's really. And then,
I wasn't expecting that reaction to Chinese food. I mean, I get it, but I wasn't expecting it.
a couple of times ago when we were recording, we went to Taco Bell afterwards, and he drove me, and it was just, such a good time. Anyway, you need to find someone that's on your level.
That
like that
desire is locked behind such a strong dam that I let break 3 times a year of
Same.
like, let's go just do it big, girl. Let's do what the younger me thought we would be doing with this adult money and abuse it.
When I saw that picture of me at Sonic after my birthday, I was like, I'm living.
Yes, good. I think I actually took that photo.
I think you did too.
By the way,
I don't know how it ended up on my phone so
You're
fast.
standing next to the Sonic order board like it's a prize hog at 4-H. And I know that because my family essentially raises prize hogs.
And I have seen that happen several times. Yeah. Okay. So she gets to go home to Seattle. Raffaele also gets to go home. I don't think he stayed in Perugia. I think he probably went home to his hometown. Italy. Yeah. He remembers, this is kind of sad, he does fall kind of immediately back into depression. Amanda is not as open about her mental health, I think, after this, which I totally get. Raffaele, at least in the documentary, is very open about getting very, very depressed after he gets home even. He says he remembers looking in the fridge for the first time and feeling like a caveman because he hasn't experienced this kind of technology.
Right.
In at least 4 years, I think. And he says he fell into a deep depression and he doesn't know how to start again. Both get harassed by the media, both them and their families. And the media also kind of assumes that Amanda and Raffaele are going to try and embrace this fame, go on the talk show circuit and write books and stuff. And to their credit, Amanda does write. I think she has 2 books out as of right now,
she has
2025.
a very new book out, I think.
Yes, as of March of this year.
Yeah.
And then she has another book that came out, I think, 2015. I'm not 100% sure on that. But an American outlet speculated if she would write a book and move on, or if she would be on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's just like,
Put
why
me back in prison.
the fuck would you say that? Oh my God.
Didn't they have Sean Spicer on at one point?
Probably.
Like, it is not.
The bar is so low to be on Dancing with the Stars.
We've renamed Rock Bottom Dancing with the Stars. And as I understand, it's on all the time.
Unless you're Simone Biles and Alona.
was Simone on?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go out on a small kind of fragile limb here and say that's actually rock bottom even for performing like top quality Olympic artists. There should be a more proudful way we can highlight them than Dancing with the Stars.
Because, they're gonna win is the fucking thing. Well,
Right.
Alona.
Gabby Windey was runner-up in Dancing with the Stars, Wimby, and those of us who are big fans of Gaggy out there, like, you get it. But even so, like, even she couldn't bring like grace to that arena,
You're relying. Yeah, it's a fucking thing. Anyway, one reporter interviews Amanda's dad, and this actually made me so fucking mad. The reporter asks Amanda's dad what their plans are, and he also then told Amanda's dad. When Amanda's dad was like, we don't have any plans, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
He said, she's not such a hot property on an interview term if you wait a month. And Amanda's dad kind of says,
whose daughter's been in jail for 4 years in a foreign country.
Yes. Amanda's dad responds, I'm not looking at her as a hot property. Why the fuck would you say that?
I'm trying to delicately navigate my daughter's life that has been irrevocably changed by
forever.
the media.
Like, regardless of what she wanted to, like, major in linguistics, like,
Yeah.
that doesn't fucking matter now. She's doing something else.
Right.
Even if she, like, anyway. 6 years later, this is 2013, 2014.
6 years post the incident, post the murder.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, Jesus. This is from The Guardian. Amanda Knox and Raffaele Solicito lose Meredith Kircher murder appeal. There's another appeal.
What?
There's a
What do you mean they lose the appeal?
I think it keeps going up into higher courts. until it's eventually at the Supreme Court. So this is the next level. This
So
is
they
an
appeal, they're found not guilty, and they get to go home. But then the trial continues?
Then they appeal again. The prosecution team appeals, I guess. I'm not sure.
So much for double jeopardy in Italy.
Yeah.
That's where you can't be tried for the same crime twice.
I think this time they're looking at different evidence, so maybe that's the defining, whatever.
Okay, and then, so they're found guilty in Italy on this third trial.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it says Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito lose Meredith Kircher murder appeal. Underneath it says Florence Court appeals upholds guilty verdicts for American and Italian accused of killing British student in 2007. That is by Lizzie Davies and Simon Hattenstone for The Guardian. So there's an Italian court that throws out the acquittal, and Amanda and Raffaele are again found guilty. So this verdict is then appealed to the Supreme Court. So
do Raffaele and Amanda need to return to prison?
So they do get sentenced again, but there's like a court of cassation, I think, and that I think is their Supreme Court. And so I think, yes, they're found guilty. Yes, they're given a sentence, but it seems like everyone's kind of like they're not going to go to prison until the next court finds them guilty. So the judge, Alessandro Nancini, sentences Knox to 28.5 years, which is longer than the original sentence.
Yeah.
And then...
and includes no time served.
It might. I'm not clear on that. And then Raffaele sentenced to the same amount, 25 years, as the previous. Yeah.
So this system just hates Amanda at this point.
Yes. And so the verdict is then appealed to the Supreme Court. And because of this appeals process, neither could technically be detained. So Amanda is still in Seattle. And Amanda is definitely worried about extradition, but it seems like it's going to be a long process to be extradited. Like it would take over a year, essentially, with the U.S. court system to then get her extradited back to Italy. And so she's like, I'm not fucking going to Italy.
Right.
And then the court essentially just tells Raffaele, like, just don't leave the country.
Like, hang around.
Yeah. And so Meredith's family, the victim, Meredith Kircher, says this is the best they could have hoped for. Again, they're like not super vocal, so it's really hard to judge how they actually feel about all of this, but they do just seem to only show positive attitudes when Amanda and Raffaele are found guilty of things. And so this is a quote from Amanda. Quote, "The idea that justice for me automatically means injustice for Meredith horrifies me because that is impossible for them to live with, and I hate that idea."
That's a really generous position from Amanda, under the assumption that I think you and I and maybe most of the listeners are operating under, that Rudy's the one that did this obviously and is serving prison time for it. Now, his prison sentence from an American POV is too short.
Yes.
But the person who needs to be serving out justice for this is.
Yeah. So now we're going to jump to 2015. This is now 8 years after. Meredith's family is still convinced of Amanda's guilt. Again, it's hard to tell what they know, what they don't know, what they actually think. You know, it's hard to judge all of that. The verdict of this second appeal is that they're exonerated. And this is now the highest court.
So the final call is they're done. Not guilty.
Yeah, they're not guilty. There's a video, and she's in Seattle when she gets this verdict. And she's on the phone with Raffaele because they still do have a friendship, at least.
Right,
they still
right.
talk. I mean, they're literally in court together, so whatever. She's crying and she's laughing and she's saying in very fluent Italian now, like, "Raffaele, we're free. How are you? I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for us. Much love, and we'll talk soon." It's just like, it like gives me chills to watch that scene.
What do you do with that skill? With being able to speak fluent Italian when Italy
she has
thinks
had to go back to Italy. I think she did have to go back for that second trial. She has to go back for the slander trial against Patrick Lumumba. Definitely. She doesn't go back for at least a decade after that first trial. I think at this point, maybe there's enough people that don't recognize her. It's hard to tell. She probably just doesn't go back to Perugia. Later this same year, September of 2015, I think these Italian courts have 90 days to release the reasonings for their verdicts. And so this is the reasoning for this final exoneration. Italian courts release the reasoning for the acquittal. And this is now from the documentary. This is like written on the screen, you know, as they do it towards the end of documentaries. They say, quote, "The court blames, quote, stunning flaws in the investigation and increased media attention for creating, quote, a frantic search for guilty parties. The justices find, quote, a complete lack of biological traces, connecting Knox and Solicito to the crime. The court said evidence still points to the guilt of Rudy Guede. And then Arlene Kircher, who is Meredith's mother, said, quote, "The first reaction was one of surprise. They've had 2 convictions, and they've had 2 acquittals now. It seems an awful long time to get such a strange verdict. 8 years. So it's bringing everything into disrepute." Yeah, it's so hard to
get that as a
say
family,
anything
you know?
to judge the Gertrude
If you
family.
do believe that they're guilty and you feel like the courts have, the way she says it, it's a strange
it's hard.
result to get. We didn't think this
we
was
don't
gonna be
understand.
beautifully said. Yeah, yes,
I
correct.
will say now, I'm not 100% sure on the rest of her family. I think she may have been the only one to see her daughter's body after the death, which is just like, that's got to be
traumatizing
so
in
hard.
some way. Yeah.
Nick, the fucking asshole of a journalist, said, quote, this is a long one.
From the Daily Mirror?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daily Mail. Do you want to read this?
Yeah, or you can. I mean, I'm happy to, though.
It starts here with a Nick quote.
Okay. I think at the end of the day, you have to point the finger at the police, really, at the prosecution. Did I figure out the tone?
Yeah, literally fuck yourself.
They made some really heinous errors and they got fixated on some wild theories that they were absolutely obsessed with. I know people keep saying trial by media, but I don't buy that. Maybe because I'm a journalist, so I don't go for that. But I think now looking back, some of the information that came out was just really crazy, really, and just completely made up. But hey, like, what are we supposed to do? You know, we are journalists and we are reporting what we are being told. It's not as if you can say, right, hold on a minute, I just want to double check that myself in some other way. I mean, goodness, personal note, you definitely can.
Yes, you absolutely should.
That's actually
how journalism is supposed to work.
We are journalists. We are reporting on what we're being told. It's not like you can say, right, hold on a minute, I just want to double check that myself in some other way. I mean, goodness knows how. And then I let my rivals get in there first before me, and then, hey, I've lost the scoop. It doesn't work like that. Not in the news game.
You can read the next one. This is Giuliano.
Giuliano, also known as Mangione's Italian Craft Kitchen and Eateria. It's getting longer.
No, just keep adding to that shit. I hate this fucking man too.
I really do think it's a talent of mine that I can find ways to lengthen it every time I'm called on it.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that for you.
During the trial, no, that feels racially insensitive.
This is translated from Italian.
During the trial, there was a woman who said, I was the devil. You are evil. I can say that I've made mistakes, even things that I have had to confess. But we are... Let's go ahead. Sorry, back that. There are mistakes, some of which I've told you about.
Which ones, bitch?
Maybe the ones you haven't shared would corrupt the core of your prosecution. I gotta start this again. I'm sorry.
No,
you are evil. I can say that I've made mistakes, even things I've had to confess.
He's Catholic.
But we are. Oh, that's what he means.
Yes.
Okay. But we are all between good and evil. It's in our human nature. Amanda and Solicito. See how he does first name? Oh,
that's my own personal note. Yeah, sorry.
First name for Amanda, last name for
for
Raffaele. If they are innocent, I hope they're able to forget the suffering that they've endured. If they're guilty, if earthly justice didn't get them, I hope their own guilt will, because I know that life ends with a final trial. Your note here, he's Catholic.
Yeah.
A trial with no appeals, no second chances, and no revisions.
Read the note right after that.
Say it in a mirror.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that funny little thing I said to you one time about something deeply inconsequential to reshape your understanding of personal responsibility.
Say it.
But I'm glad it has.
Fucking mirror. Or that one time I said it to myself because I think about that a lot.
In front of me, yes.
Yeah. So these are kind of the notes after the documentary was over. So this documentary was published in 2016. Amanda finally got her degree in 2014. She now advocates for the wrongfully convicted. Raffaele runs his own internet company. I don't know what the fuck internet company means, but I'm sure it's something cool.
It's Chat GPT.
I think he's... God, can you imagine? He was an engineer, I think, when around the time that he met Amanda, or going to school for engineering. He runs his internet company in Bari, Italy, and he serves as a true crime expert for Italian television. Giuliano Magnini has been promoted to general prosecutor. I didn't actually do any further investigation because this man pissed me off like so much that I like stopped caring about him. Nick Pisa, I did find out more about. I don't know if Giuliano is still working or not at this point. Nick Pisa is still a journalist. As of 2016, he was working at The Sun. As of right now, I couldn't find any of his contributions to The Sun. Now it looks like he more just still contributes to the Daily Mail, which makes it seem like he was like, hey, because of you, I lost all my credibility. And now hire me again. And that seems like what's happening. I could be wrong. I'm speculating. I hate this man. I actually don't care if I'm right because he doesn't care if he's right.
Right. Literally doesn't even know how he would check if he's right
he's
or
like,
not.
what would I do? I don't know. He did seem to face a lot of criticism after this documentary in 2016. And since he has kept a somewhat lower profile, according to at least one source, and from looking at what happens when you search his name seems generally true. I'm not sure where he works now. It seems he contributes a lot to a lot of different news outlets. I think probably mainly the Daily Mail. In fact, here are some news headlines about him, since he doesn't give a shit about news headlines about other people. Nick Pisa, the real villain of Amanda Knox documentary. And then how Nick Pisa became more notorious than Amanda Knox. You bitch. Like, what the fuck?
Absolutely.
Fuck you. Rudy maintains his innocence.
Well, I mean, he has to.
Yeah, literally.
Has Amanda or Raffaele thought about suing Nick for defamation?
I think Raffaele especially just wants everyone to kind of forget that he was involved in all of this.
Don't blame him at
all. I think Amanda, I don't know how much she blames the media. I think she blames Giuliano more.
Okay.
Because I think she had more personal interactions with him.
Defamation laws in London are just different, is all I'm trying to say. Like, in a way that...
Amanda, you listening?
Well, just like, from what I remember, and obviously maybe the law has changed. I'm not an expert on this.
Yeah.
But some vague memories are pinging that when you accuse someone of defamation in a British court,
right,
you have to prove that what you said was true.
Right, because it's like flipped.
Right.
Because that's why Johnny Depp and Amber Heard had like very different cases in America
that's
versus
how you
London.
remember it. I know it because a Holocaust denialist
I'm so sorry, I did not mean to laugh.
A Holocaust denialist was called a Holocaust denialist, and then someone sued, and so then he sued that person for defamation, and the person he sued then basically essentially had to prove in the British court that the Holocaust did happen and that he is defaming. So that's how I know.
Oh my god!
It's a fantastic movie. If I could remember the name of it, I would share it. I do promise that.
Oh my god!
So the laws are different. He has to prove, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But anyways, good for you, Amanda. It looks like you're doing a healthy job of processing the horrific thing that happened to you, in addition to the horrific thing that happened adjacent to your life.
Yeah, truly. So Rudy maintains his innocence. We're now kind of in the final moments. In 2019, the European Court of Human Rights ruled that Amanda's defense rights had been violated during the police questioning, specifically mentioning in the ruling the following. There was a lack of investigation into allegations of ill treatment by the police during the questioning of a person in a state of shock. That was a violation. I don't know if that was unanimous, but that was definitely a violation. The use of evidence in a malicious accusation made to the police by a person in a state of shock without access to a lawyer. She had not been given a lawyer. Violation. There was an interpreter that had been given to her that acted as a mediator and with a motherly attitude during the questioning of a person in a state of shock. I read more about this. This ruling is linked in my show notes. From reading the ruling, it seems the interpreter was a she. She was given, she was acting inappropriately and out of scope of what she was asked to do. She had acted as a mediator and at points had been embraced by the police officers while in the room and was, in the room, interpreting for Amanda. And the police did nothing about it when the police should have said, hey, stop, like, interpreting like what we're saying, what she's saying. Like, your job is here to like act as an interpreter, not as a mediator, you know? The other thing that they ruled on was that they couldn't actually decide if Amanda had been inhumanely treated or degraded during her experience. She says that she'd been like slapped across the back of the head, but there's like no evidence of her injuries and stuff like that, so they couldn't definitively say if that right specifically had been violated. After this whole thing, Amanda did not go back to Italy for nearly a decade, but in 2019 she did return to speak at the Criminal Justice Festival, at which time she revisited the home she had lived in with Meredith. In November of 2021, Rudy was released from prison after completing 13 of his 16-year sentence.
I mean, people
Yeah.
go to prison for longer in America for drunk driving.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm good. I'm not like loosing those laws.
No, but like, holy shit, this man like definitively murdered somebody.
Correct. Like not even
definitively
questioned.
actually raped somebody.
He's on the streets now.
Yeah. Yeah. June of 2024, The Guardian reported Italian courts uphold Amanda Knox slander conviction. She was accused of slander by her boss, Patrick Lumumba, for accusing him of being part of this. And she had asked the Italian courts to drop the ruling based off of the 2019 ruling from the European Court of Human Rights. During this appeal, she told the judge that Patrick Lumumba, quote, took care of me and consoled me for the loss of my friend, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to resist the pressures that I suffered. I humbly ask you to declare me innocent. I understand the court at this point, you know, like because the European Court of Human Rights was not able to definitively rule on whether or not she was like really inhumanely treated. I understand them being like, I mean, like, yes, you were pressured, but you still did say it. You signed it.
Right.
Ultimately, too, she was sentenced to 3 years, which I do believe was time served at that point, and she served 4 years. So she didn't have to go back to prison or anything like that. So it's hard. Like, I agree with Amanda. I kind of agree with, I can understand the Italian courts. It is hard because Lumumba was supposed to get financial compensation from Amanda that he never got because of all of this legal drama, and as a result had to close his bar and move his family out of Italy. So it's tough. I get it. As of late last year, 2024, it seems Amanda is in Italy working on a TV series co-produced by herself and Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
A story I've wanted to do for a really long time, by the way.
Yes.
If
I
we
wrote
can call
her
dibs,
name.
I want that story. Thank you.
You can have that story. That's fine.
Okay.
I believe there's some drama. There was like another TV show produced very shortly after her conviction that may have still aired. I didn't get into a lot of this. This is something I would have gotten into if I had had more time, but I didn't because trying to cover only a certain amount of things at once. But there was one that got created relatively close to her conviction. And then there was another, I believe, that did get released called Stillwater, that there was some legal issues because it was pretty fucking obvious that this one was based off of Amanda Knox's story.
Yeah.
But then the director was like, yeah, it's based off of that story, but it's not actually really about her story. So Amanda Knox saw nothing from it, and the Kircher family saw nothing from it. And so everyone was kind of like, that's
the worst form of true crime media.
Yeah, that's fucking shitty, you know? So anyway, this new thing that she's working on is set to focus on Amanda's legal battles. In an interview in March of this year, 2025, she was asked if she sees any possibility of having any kind of positive relationship with Meredith's family. Meredith's parents have passed. Meredith's mom had a heart condition even back in 2007. Amanda remembers talking to Meredith about it and remembers that Meredith spent a lot of time on the phone with her mom, even at that time, because there was the risk that she might not live much longer. And so I think she passed due to that. The really tough thing is that her father died unexpectedly. He was hit by a car while walking around his neighborhood. I'm not sure like the timeline of all of that, but that then leaves Meredith's sister and 2 brothers that have now just experienced crazy amounts of tragedy since 2007. And so I think Amanda's very aware of that and trying not to like push anything onto them and like being very accepting of any criticism that maybe comes from them. Amanda acknowledges that Meredith's family has dealt with an immense amount of tragedy beginning in 2007. She doesn't know how Meredith's brothers feel, but knows generally that Meredith's sister has publicly said that she is sad Meredith's name has been lost in this entire trial.
Yeah.
Or entire story. A sentiment that Amanda agrees with, saying, quote, "If you ever hear any news about her case, it's typically with a headline that has my name in it and not hers. I am in utter agreement with them about how unfair and wrong that is." And she hopes to eventually be able to visit Meredith's grave, but she doesn't want to do so without the blessing of Meredith's family.
Yeah.
She says, quote, "I'm still really hoping to have the opportunity to visit Meredith's graves, but I don't want to do that without their blessing, because I understand that Meredith belongs to them first. Even though I have a special kind of connection with her, literally because her death is intertwined with my identity, I'm really hesitant to be very direct about talking to them." So she uses kind of back channels like lawyers and stuff to try and
Right.
communicate with them. She doesn't ever try and
Reach
reach
out
out to
by
them
herself.
directly, it seems
Right.
like. She now has, I believe, her second memoir out titled Free, My Search for Meaning, which was published in March of this year, 2025. She has publicly expressed how she hates that everything she does is tied to Meredith. For example, she had her first daughter in 2021. Her daughter's name is Eureka. And she was so worried that the headlines would be something like, "Amanda Knox has a daughter, something Meredith will never be able to do." Yeah. She then would have a son in 2023 named Echo. Here's a quote. Knox admitted she, quote, "never wanted the, quote, burden of upholding Kircher's memory," adding, quote, "It is one that's especially awkward considering I really didn't know Meredith all that well, but I feel privileged that I got to know her as briefly as I did for who she was, and not, like many millions who know her name, merely in the context of her murder. Meredith remains a central figure in my trauma, but she played no role in the cause of my own victimization."
That's like a beautiful quote.
She does a lot of writing now. Obviously, she has
Yeah.
2 books out. I believe she writes for Medium quite a bit.
Sure.
Even in the documentary, she's very well spoken. She now has a husband, literally named, I shit you not, Christopher Robin.
Do you have some photos of the wedding or anything?
I have 2 photos. I have a photo of them together.
Okay.
They have 2 podcasts. One called Younglings, which I believe is about bringing up children, and then
Okay.
another called Labyrinth. She is now an advocate for criminal justice reform. She sits on the advisory council for the Frederick Douglass Project for Justice, which is where we will be donating for this episode.
Amazing.
She serves as an ambassador for the Innocence Network and is on the board of directors for the Innocence Network. And she received the 2024 Innocence Network Impact Award. So these are 2 photos. The top one is her and her husband, Christopher Rahmed, and the bottom is Meredith's family before her mother and father passed.
Is that Meredith in the center?
No, that is her sister, Stephanie.
Okay.
This is after Meredith
After the
passed.
end.
Yes.
There's just so much looking at these 2 photos. Like, in one respect, you're so glad that Amanda Knox's story is continuing after what she experienced, and that she is finding joy and seems, at least from an American point of view, to be striking the right notes about her connection to this family who are victims, right?
It seems
this
she's
horrific
very
crime.
careful
Right.
and also like very politically correct in how
Right.
she talks about them and to
Right.
them. Yeah.
Like gentle, delicate, understands.
She understands. She's been to therapy.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
But then to see this photo of her continuing to build her life next to a family that you know is just shattered by this news and will, after this photo is taken, be shattered
Lose
2
2
more
more
times.
members.
It's just in the way that's so hard to explain, like encapsulates. Thank you. Just how cosmically unfair the universe can be sometimes.
Right.
You know, like the people in
It's
this
hard.
photo deserve to be in this photo too.
I agree. Grant's a little teary-eyed.
I am. I'm actually really surprised by it.
Right?
Just like,
It's a crazy story.
I think to hear a person who's been as victimized and powerless at times as Amanda speak, like use her platform to be like, I'm so sorry. This person was amazing. I truthfully didn't know a lot about her,
Yeah.
but I'm grateful for that time. I'm always going to watch that kind of stuff. I'm
Right?
always into that kind of stuff.
And so I mentioned at the beginning that the story has been covered like over and over again, especially by podcasts. So I didn't want to do the exact same thing and talk about their lives prior to the crime and after. What I really wanted to talk about, especially after watching the documentary, was how fucked up news media can be. And the fact that like the more you click on something, the more they're going to cover that kind of something, you know?
Right.
And so you have to be careful even reading headlines and giving news media like the Daily Mail, like even the Guardian, or even the New York Times, even, like, everyone is tracking the amount of clicks they get. And so to see certain headlines and click on it, you're giving that platform more of a reason to post more of that content. Even if it's like about transgender healthcare and you want to know more about that because you truly care about that. But if the headline is so negative that makes you click on it, like, you need to recognize that you are giving that association with, like, that negative connotation for that headline. And that, like, these kinds of things, especially true crime, you don't know everything. There's, like, no way in hell you know everything because there's lawyer-client confidentiality. There, like, the police aren't going to be releasing everything. This is one of the biggest things I have about the, like, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp case. Feminists tend to automatically assume Amber Heard is innocent, which I don't necessarily disagree with. I think both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard have innocence to them. I think because a lot of people only saw the bylines from their own respective algorithms, they believe certain things. You either believe Amber Heard is innocent or you believe Johnny Depp is innocent. But if you watch the fucking trial, which I urge you to, especially in cases like this where there is a court case that is publicly televised, neither of them are fucking innocent. They're both honest to God pieces of shit. Like, Amber Heard is just as fucked up. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. I think Johnny Depp got a bad rap, at least from the people that I associate with, but I understand from, like, if you're on the opposite end of the algorithm, it might feel the opposite way. I don't think either of them are innocent. I think they're both really fucked up in their own way. And I think that's really important to understand, especially when you're just going off of what news media outlets are telling you, to do your, like, actually do your own fucking research, understand all the details of the crime or understand all the details of the situation, because they're spinning it in a way to get more attention from you. Right? So they're going to make their headlines as stigmatized and as grabby as fucking possible, even if it's ABC, even if it's the New York Times, even if it's the Observer or the Independent. Like, that's how they get money. So I can't blame them, but you as the consumer need to be super aware of what the fuck you're doing, because people like Nick Pisa now think that they don't need to give a shit about the facts that they report on, because the facts that they think are true get them the most clicks, right? So be really careful about the kinds of media you consume and understand to be true. Because even Grant and I, when we're giving an episode, are super wary of the fact that, like, hey, we only found one source that says this.
Right.
And people like Nick Pisa don't give a fuck, right? Because they already have a platform. They don't care. Nothing happens to them if someone finds out that they're wrong. They publish, like, a correction, and that's it. And
not to lighten the mood, but on this note too, it is, I think, with that discerning eye, that there was a moment a couple stories ago that I was on a corner of the internet chasing down a sub point to a store that I was working on. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. This kind of confirms one thing, but a lot of this stuff is wrong. Like, I just know factually where this person was when, and this is, what is it? Oh, I'm reading fanfic. You know, and it's and it was with that discerning eye of being like, this needs to track with some of the other things that I can more reliably confirm. Yeah. I need to get out of here. This is not true.
I'm gonna bookmark this for later.
Really interesting. Turns out this is not the Wayback Machine, which is what I thought I was reading from. So,
which is the other thing too. The Daily Mail does not have a reliable archive.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna like. The what is it? The Guardian at least has an archive. It's a little harder to access. New York Times has an archive. The Independent has an archive. Those two sources have archives. You can go back by the year, by the date, and see what kinds of headlines there are. They're pretty open about, like, hey, these kinds of things might not be here that were posted, or they may not be posted in their original format due to, like, copyright issues or whatever. If people are not telling you that kind of thing, you need to be wary. The Daily Mail, especially for this Amanda Knox case, if you go to Nick Pisa's profile and go to all the stories he's told, it only goes back to 2010. That's for a fucking reason, because he's gotten all this fucking backlash from 2007
the stuff that he
onward.
Reported for before.
Yeah, because people now fucking hate him. Right? Be careful of that shit and understand who you're getting media from, why you're getting that media from, the kinds of narratives they're trying to spin based off of the kind of clicks they're getting. Like, it's just, like, infuriating the role media plays, and no one tends to ever associate them with cause and effect for these kinds of accidents. Like even Nick P said, the quote that I had Grant read was like, I don't know, I don't blame it on me. I blame it on the prosecutor. Bitch! The prosecutors were doing what they were doing because they recognized that they were getting all this out to world media, and they wanted the world to understand that they could do good in terms of investigation, you know? So I'll get out of this bitch in the corner that I'm in.
Is it a bitch in a corner or is it a soapbox?
Yes.
Okay.
Bitch in a corner on a soapbox.
But it's been a great episode. It's been really enlightening. I'm walking away knowing very different things than I thought I knew before.
You do that to me with history. I do that to you with true
I
crime.
appreciate that. Both the compliment and the knowledge.
Yeah, I know you do.
All right, speech time. All right, thanks for joining us on today's episode. You can always find us on social media where we are Well I Laughed. We're currently in the middle of the They Were Roommates.
And they were roommates.
Theme. And the next theme is Eye of the Beholder. So if you have listener stories for either of those themes, you can email them to wellilaughdpod@gmail.com, or you can find them as a submittable link on our website. Yeah, that sounds fun. If you would like to get a personalized message to us or to your friend, if you need to send a threat, a promise, or marriage proposal, or, oh, wait, what? Are we still in the market for wedding invites?
We still are.
We would absolutely make room in our schedules. You can request that on Cameo. And if you're like, no, I like my paranormal social relationship with you, you can find us on Patreon, where we share even more secrets, and you get an additional episode every week.
I like that he said paranormal instead of parasocial. But also, please rate us 5 stars and send us your reviews if you're not going to put your reviews on like Apple or Spotify. So, that, you know, we love you. Okay, bye.
Okay, great. Bye.
Bye.